You're about to listen to a Gaming Stooges podcast with your regularly scheduled Stooges.
I'm Jack.
The internet calls me Cloud.
And I'm Landon.
We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and if you do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Twitch, or joining our Discord. Let's get on with the show.
Pokémon.
Pokémon?
Pokemon.
Welcome to today's podcast episode where we're going to talk about Pokemon. Basically where we started, what we like, what we don't like, side games, main games, just kind of touch on little bits and pieces. We're going to be mostly just kind of casually talking about it today, but I do want to open up and give everybody some perspective as to our backgrounds with the series. So, what were your first Pokemon games?
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Pokemon?
Pokemon.
But Jack, do you want to go first?
I guess, because I always go first.
Hey, first boy.
It's
you started like going towards your microphone. So
because I was expecting you to, or I was expecting you to ask me to go first, and I was right.
You should have just went first then.
All right. It's just always how we do it. Well, I don't know. I played bits and pieces of like the first two generations on friends' Game Boys before I owned my own Pokemon game, and I didn't really have too much of an interest in it at first because I don't know. It was I already had a Game Boy Advance by that point, but there was no Pokemon game on the Game Boy Advance. And I was 6 or 7, and I was like, that game looks poopy. It's all black and white and pixelated. No, excuse me, while I returned to whatever the Frogger game on the GBA was called, I forget.
But man of culture.
The first game I owned was Pokemon Ruby, which I got for my birthday, I think, in 2003. And it all just kind of went from there, honestly. I got hooked pretty quickly. And, I mean, although I will say the first time I played it, I didn't really know what I was doing. I got stuck trying to set the clock.
You got stuck trying to set the clock?
Listen, it was like...
No. I just find it funny because you got stuck at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
But for a totally different reason than what I did, but I'll get to it.
Yeah. And that was pretty much that. But once I learned how to, like, actually play the game and, just talk to people and, like, interact with shit, then... Yeah,
how to play an RPG.
Yeah, I pretty much spent the entire summer playing that game, like to a point where my mom instated a rule where I could not play, or no, I could play my GBA on school days, but I was limited to like a half hour per day because she didn't want me to like get addicted. And
wow.
Yeah, but
how's that going
because
for you now?
But no, I played that like every fucking day in the summer that year, so kind of understandable, but yeah, that's basically where I started.
Mine, so I keep going back and forth because I can't remember whether I was 7 or 8, but it was on my birthday, and I think it was my 7th birthday, but it was on my birthday that I got a gift from my dad, and it was because I had already been watching the anime that had come out at the time, and I was really, really excited, and I wanted to like play the games, but I didn't have the games. I didn't have anything to play them on. In fact, I think I was like just recently given a Super Nintendo, so I only had like a couple games on that, so that's literally all I had to play at the time. And I just remember that I used to watch Pokemon in my sister's room. We kind of hang out and watch like the stuff like the Tex Avery show and then Pokemon after that and stuff like that. And so for my birthday, I got a Game Boy Color, the Aqua one, a copy of Pokemon Red, and then the official Nintendo strategy guide for Pokemon Red and Blue, which was pretty cool because they had like these stickers that you could like take out on this one sheet. So if you were filling your Pokedex out, you could just like put the stickers in on all the pages. So I played that a lot. I had mentioned it on a previous episode, but I played my Game Boy so much that my mom got us rechargeable batteries, and the batteries were like this thick as a brick, like protrusion that stuck out of the Game Boy Color's backside. It was
the way
it was
God
fun.
intended.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun times though.
You guys had worm lights, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like every child that grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s had a worm light for their Game Boy and or Game Boy Advance at some point. It was just
so
like... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead and finish the worm light thing.
That's pretty much all I had to say. I mean, it was pretty much mandatory for, like, how the screen was on...
Oh, yeah.
Not
These
only...
weren't no Game Gears. Couldn't see
True.
shit on them.
Very true. That's pretty much all I had to say.
Speaking of people who enjoy the Game Gear, Landon, he's holding up the Pokemon Game Boy Color. Is that your original Game Boy Color?
Isn't that a Game Boy Pocket?
No, this is a Game Boy
Oh, no, that's
Color.
a color. Okay.
It's the one that came with Pokemon Yellow, Segway.
That's insane. That is super cool.
That was the one that I had. I got this with Pokemon Yellow. And I think it was my 64 with... It was either Pokemon Snap or Pokemon Stadium first, but I got both of them pretty close to each other. So those were like my first 3 Pokemon games. Were Yellow, Snap, and Stadium.
Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Jack. So, my first experience with Pokemon Red, I remember... I didn't even get to play much of it that day because I got stuck. I did not know that the carpet was an exit.
Oh, so
I was
you were just
stuck.
walking around in the room.
I was stuck. No. I managed to get downstairs because I figured stairs went up and down, but I didn't know that the carpet was the exit. So I was stuck in my house, and I would just talk to my mom, and she would just keep telling me about some shit that I couldn't even go after because I had no idea how to leave my house.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I didn't even know how to talk to people because, like, I figured you had to be like facing them, and then it would just automatically initiate a conversation. Instead of just like, walking up to them and pressing the A button. And by facing them I mean like direct like eye contact between the characters.
I remember struggling the first time I played it, but then I also like one morning booted up my save file and someone had played my game for Pokemon Yellow. Yeah. So
someone in your family just like picked up your game and just started playing it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I got stuck at the guy laying on the route in Viridian City. Honestly, I think that probably tripped a lot of kids up at the time.
Yeah.
Because who the hell is supposed to know to do all of this to move this guy?
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
True. What was your first starter?
That's a good question. I did not add on my notes. I should have. Mine was actually Bulbasaur. I picked Bulbasaur first. I remember when I was looking at the guide because I liked reading the colorful, pretty picture guide. It had suggested Bulbasaur if you wanted the easiest time overall. So I was like, well, I'm a kid. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so I'm gonna pick the one that says easiest.
Maybe
because I knew what the word easy meant.
Yeah, I mean that's true for the first 2 gyms.
Yeah, I mean Bulbasaur still has a good matchup against the first 3 gyms. The 4th gym is obviously neutral. Honestly, probably better than neutral because there's going to be a lot of Pokemon whose bad AI is going to make them use poison powder. And then, but I mean, as kids, we didn't know this. But I mean, Bulbasaur's still good against the 8th gym. It only really struggles against the 7th and 6th. Has a little, yeah. It's basically it.
I guess that's true. And then you get to Lorelei.
Except Blaine's AI is trash garbage, so you could steamroll it with a Bulbasaur.
Yeah, because he doesn't have good AI, so he just picks random moves.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, Bulbasaur's fine.
I'm assuming yours was Pikachu, Landon, since you played Yellow.
Yup. Didn't have a choice there.
Yeah.
It's funny. Landon's starter was Pikachu, and he hates that piece of shit. Meanwhile, my starter was Bulbasaur, which was his favorite.
Mine was Torchic.
That's a good start. That was my first starter in Ruby.
I think I picked Torchic based on just a recommendation from a friend. Just, basically saying he gets so strong when he evolves, once it gets higher level. And I'm like, okay, sure.
I picked Torchic for a similar reason, but it's way dorkier. I got the Prima guide for Ruby because I had saved money on getting Pokemon Ruby itself, so I had the money for the guide. So I got them both. So I got both the guide and the game, and they had these graphs for the stats, like the 6 directional thing, hexagon that has different segments. Landon, the skill thing that they show for Xenoverse 2, how it's a hexagon and you'll see the stats go in different directions like that.
Yep.
So the Pokemon stats were laid out like that in this guide, and I just remember that Blaziken was the only one who had a stat that went all the way to the end of their rudimentary graphs. So I was like, oh, that Pokemon's strong because it's got a bigger graph. I have to pick it. That's the only reason why I picked Torchic. Because it had a bigger graph in the guide.
Bigger graphs.
Bigger graphs. Yep. Alright, so got our first starters, our first games out of the way. But what are your favorite of the mainline games? Pick up to 5. Doesn't have to be 5.
5 individual games or 5 generations?
5 individual games or pairs of games. So Ruby Sapphire would count as one entry.
Okay.
But I would say that if it's a third version, it should probably count separately.
Al said he went with Torchic and Sapphire because the anime shilled it a lot.
They did, yeah. Torchic was the favorite for the anime for a bit. But I mean, my answer, if you need a little bit of time to think about it, is definitely Heart Gold Soul Silver. It's my favorite one. Black 2, White 2. Then probably... So the next bit, ones are all kind of really close together, but I guess I would say Fire Red Leaf Green, Emerald, Platinum. It's one from each of the first 5 generations. What can I say? Well, first 5 generations is regions.
The first 5 regions, basically.
Right. Those are my top 5.
I'll keep going. I'll go next since Landon's eating. Emerald is my favorite. I guess I'll say Black 2, White 2, Black 1, White 1, Platinum, and Heart Gold Soul Silver.
Yeah.
Actually, okay. Well, no, I'll say Heart Gold Soul Silver. I was between that or Fire Red and Leaf Green, but one of those two.
All right. Like those answers.
Does Coliseum and XD count as core or spin-offs?
Those, according to the Bulbapedia, those are spin-offs.
Yeah, according to how the official answers, they're spin-offs. But I mean, considering how they have everything connected nowadays, they should count as mainline, but they don't, so they're not.
Okay. So then that makes it easy.
Actually, they're not technically spin-offs. They are because there's a separate page for side games.
Those and the stadium games, they consider those side games because you can interact with the main series of that generation.
Yeah. And they still function like normal Pokemon games for the most part.
Do I add those here, or do I add those to the second question?
To the side.
Question?
To the side.
Add them to the next question.
All right. Hey, so the answer to that question you asked me 17 million years ago is Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Soul Silver, Pokemon Black 2. I'm not counting any other games. These are the only ones I'm saying. So fuck your golds, fuck your whites, especially fuck your whites. Where am I? Black 2.
You have 2 more.
Okay, let's throw some fun ones out there. I guess Black is pretty good, and then Brilliant Diamond. That one's a good one.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Sure,
Really?
I don't know.
He enjoyed nuzlocking it. Can't tell him that he can't like what he likes.
Yeah, Jack, tell me I don't like what I like.
I'm not telling
Do
you.
it.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay, you don't like what you like. Fuck
Okay,
you.
Yeah.
never mind. Then Pokemon Sun.
Okay.
I liked Pokemon Sun and Ultra Sun.
Oh, never mind.
Ultra Sun's really close to being.
Pokemon Leaf.
Oh no! I'm sorry. Pokemon Moon and
Oh.
Pokemon Ultra Moon. So they're not. It's not the same game.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, no. Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon are like pretty close up for me. But as for side games, which I honestly meant side and spin-off. So like anything that's not the main series. 5 up to 5 favorites here. What are your favorites? I actually think I might need a second to think about this one.
Okay. I'll go.
No, I'm not gonna tell Landon that X and Y are his favorites. I'm gonna get actually stabbed.
Wait, what are we on? Are we on spin-offs?
Yeah.
Did you say?
Spin-offs and side games.
Okay,
Like,
I don't know why you...
So
Oh, I didn't see Al's comment. I was confused. I wasn't looking. Okay. Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Darkness. Pokemon Pinball, Ruby and Sapphire. Pokemon Coliseum. It's Pokemon Snap. And... fuck it. Pokemon Ranger.
Wow.
I
What
like
about
it.
Pokemon Puzzle League?
Oh,
Yeah.
true. Fuck Ranger. Putting on Pokemon Puzzle League.
I'm gonna win.
I'm gonna win.
Considering how
Goodness.
much we've started to meme that, personally.
Yeah.
Cloud, are you
It is
ready?
a fun game.
Yeah. I think I would say my top 5 when it comes to side games and spin-offs would probably be Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time and Darkness. I haven't played Sky, so I can't say Sky, but I've heard it's better. Pokemon Rescue Team DX. I like Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. I like the remake that they did on the Switch. It's really, really good. Pokemon Stadium 2. I really like Pokemon Stadium 2. New Pokemon Snap, obviously. I don't know why I completely forgot about that. And I guess probably... the Pokemon Trading Card Game Boy game. Yeah, those are my top 5. I love those ones.
Did I say Pokemon Snap in my top 5?
Yes.
Swap that for Stadium 2. I like Stadium 2 better.
I loved Pokemon Stadium 2.
I do also like Pokemon Snap, but Stadium 2. Good fucking game.
Okay. Now shut up.
Those are to my...
Shut up and listen.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
No.
Yes.
Good.
I
You
heard
have the
it.
hearing of a dog.
What
What was it?
What does that
Poke-
mean?
I don't know. I screamed a high-pitched scream. Like a
No,
dog
I mean, like,
whistle.
what does that mean for me?
Oh. Bork.
It means you a dog.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time, Darkness, Sky, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, red rescue team, blue rescue team, TX.
I like how for the spin-offs you are putting the pairs and stuff together, but not the main series.
It's different, okay?
Subverting things.
Pokemon, Super Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. And then, you know what? Because I wasn't allowed to put it in the core section, Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness.
That's a good pick too.
And then a fifth game. What? Pokemon Dash? Is that the good one?
I was going to say I like Al's comment. I say Pokemon Dash 5 times.
Good.
Just 5 times.
There. Do I have a... I like the original Pokemon Pinball. I played a lot of that as a kid. I'm trying to think of if I have an actual... I mean, like, Coliseum, but, like, I don't know. I'm just good with the 4. I don't need a 5th game.
All right. And then the last question, which is kind of like 2 questions in one, and just a kind of creative twist to, like, put those answers together. So, if you were the champion of a region, which region would it be? And basically, this is probably going to end up being whatever your favorite region, like, league is. And what would your team of 6 Pokemon as champion be? Which would basically be like your dream team of 6 Pokemon. With a few stipulations, a limit of 2 starters, a limit of 1 pseudo-legendary, and a limit of 1 legendary. You don't have to have any of these, but that's like the limit. The reason I said 2 starters is because there are many games where you can have 2 or more starters in one file, so I just wanted to have that to be realistic.
Now, okay, I have a question for this question.
Yes.
So my answer is Hoenn, because duh. Like, my question is, do I have to stick to the Hoenn regional decks?
No.
Okay.
So when it comes to your team of 6 Pokemon, it does not have to be what's available in that game. Just what is your team of 6 Pokemon? So, like, let's say you are the champion of a region and you came back from various adventures in other regions, so you have access to everything, and then you settle down in your favorite region and just become champion there. What's your team of 6 Pokemon?
See, I didn't do that because we didn't discuss this ahead of time. I picked a region and I picked a Pokedex in that region, and I went based off of that. So I'll go because I actually have my list.
Okay, I'll be right back because I have something special to answer this.
What should I do to fill the
cards?
Should I do a Patreon ad?
Yeah, sure.
Pay me money. Thanks.
Give us money, please.
Give us money, please.
Money.
Money. If you hate this content, pay me money.
Yeah.
If you love this content,
give us money so that you never have to see us again.
Yeah. Or we'll give you a free video a month. You know,
if
you give us $6. If not, we think you're cool, and we'll let you vote on stuff.
Oh, cool! You guys did the ad read.
Yeah,
wow, that was out.
Because I figured you wanted to actually hear my list.
Yeah, no, I am interested.
So, all right. So I did not choose Johto, which is what I'm sure you would have thought I would say, but that's because like I said.
Did you pick the Ore region?
No. You can't catch Pokemon there. There's no well, you can catch Pokemon there. You have to no. I actually went with Unova.
I figured you were going to go with Unova if you didn't go with Johto.
Yeah, just because it's the easiest one to make like a pretty badass team, I feel like. And it not be dumb. I.e. most regions after Unova. Not that I have anything against the Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon games, but I get skin cancer pretty easy out there, so like I'm like I don't do that. that was a deciding factor. I was like, it's either going to be Unova or it's going to be whatever. I don't even remember the region name. What is it?
I mean, did you
for Sun and Moon?
Oh, Alola.
Alola. See, I didn't even remember that.
I was going to
give
ask,
me sun cancer, so no.
Do you have a quick answer with that new information I gave you, or are you going to stick with
Oh,
your
that would take me
answer?
that would take me a while. So I'm just going to read this one off that I made, and it kind of works anyway. This is not the order in which the Pokemon would come out. This is just the order which I wrote them down.
Yeah.
Golurk, Starmie, Shuckle, Drapion, Electros, and Dunsparce.
Okay.
It's a varied enough team. You've got some special attackers. You've got some physical attackers, i.e. Drapion. I didn't go with anything stupid overpower because I don't care for that.
Yeah.
And
Not me.
yeah, there was like a couple Pokemon I was thinking about, but I decided on these ones. I started with Golurk because he's probably one of my favorite Unova Pokemon. Same with Electros; those two were like up there for me. And then I just
Oh yeah, a team without Electros would have been weird.
yeah. So I like build it around those, and Starmie is always pretty solid. You can't go wrong with Starmie. Drapion, same boat. And then Shuckle and Dunsparce because, it wouldn't be a Landon team without those two.
Now, would you evolve this Dunsparce, or would you purposely keep it as a Dunsparce?
See, I was going based off of the fact that I was stuck with that region's dex
Right.
during that time frame and I chose Black 2, White 2 for the dex, obviously, because I have the expanded region dex. I would probably I'd probably pick Johto and do a completely different team, but
Right.
just because the idea of Johto Kanto is really the same
Right.
same one.
It's the Indigo League.
It's the Indigo League. It's a little bit cooler to be the champion of that, I feel like, because you're the big boss of 2 regions as opposed to just one.
Right.
But I would probably have a Dunsparce on that team for sure.
Okay.
So I'll go build that team right now.
I was gonna say, we can come back to your answer once we go around. Jack, what you got your answer?
You can go first.
So I have in my hands a photo printed copy. It's just kind of a quick photo copy, but digitally, my girlfriend had this commissioned where she got somebody to like make pixel art of me as a Pokemon trainer and gave me like a digital Pokemon card, and then she printed it out. So I have here, we got my trainer card with Sinnoh badges. So I would be the Sinnoh champion. I love Sinnoh. I know some people think there's too many HMs. I don't care. I love Sinnoh. It's really fun to explore. And I got my all-star dream team of Sylveon, Gyarados, Volcarona, which is my favorite Pokemon of all time, Roserade, Rhyperior, and King Gambit, who's become one of my favorite Pokemon of all time recently as well. Nice even split of cool Pokemon and cute Pokemon. Nice even split of physical attackers, special attackers. I love it. It's just super cool team, super cool little trainer card with the badges. But yeah, Sinnoh would probably be my region.
All right. My region, as I said, is Hoenn. My team, I'm gonna be real, I came up with this team
like
very
30
quick.
seconds ago.
Not 30 seconds ago, like 5 minutes ago.
30 seconds ago times 12.
Yeah, exactly. But because honestly I had was thinking mostly in the like Hoenn regional decks when I made my initial list, so I revised it. And I figure this one's pretty good, I think. So what I got is, like Landon, this isn't the order that I would send them out. It's just the order I chose them.
Oh yeah, not for me either. That's the
Yeah.
order that they had it on the trainer card, so I just...
Okay. I chose Breloom, Vaporeon, Absol, Chandelure, Magnezone, and Flygon.
I've used Magnezone.
I have also used Magnezone. Yeah, I went with Absol and Vaporeon are gimmies. I wanted to go with no starters and no legendaries or pseudos, just because.
Yeah.
I
don't have any of that on here either.
Like, could I have chosen Garchomp, which is just objectively a better version of Flygon? Yeah, but I like Flygon, and Garchomp is
You like Flygon more.
Garchomp is broken and also, well, not broken, but like Garchomp is really fucking good and is also synonymous with a champion that already exists. So, forget that. And I do love Flygon. I have a pretty even split of physical attackers versus special attackers. I went with, Chandelure is just one of my favorite fire types, and it's also half ghost, which is cool. Magnezone has kind of gone from a meme to one of my favorites, and
dude, Magnezone is such a good Pokemon.
It really is, and like, it's really fucking good. And
really good.
Breloom is not my single favorite grass type. That would probably be Sceptile, but, no starters. But also has the, fighting subtype. And it's also really good. And it's also just one of my favorites in general. And I'm like, yeah, this is a pretty respectable team. The only type that I have... This team does have a three of them are weak to Fairy, which is not good. But
oddly enough, this team that I've concocted, there's not a single type that hits more than 2 members of it super effectively.
That's what you
a single type.
That's what you generally want to aim for. Like,
and the thing I like about it is it's 6 Pokemon I like. No single type just rocks my whole team. And there's also no type overlaps either. Because a lot of like really good teams, they'll have some type overlap with the Pokemon that they have. None of my Pokemon even share types. I don't know, like some people don't really care whether they overlap types, some do. I don't know, some of my favorite teams are just teams of Pokemon that there's no type overlap.
Mm-hmm.
But occasionally you might have like 2 Pokemon that share one type. That's not that bad for me.
No, it's a good team.
Landon, did you manage to come up with a secondary answer?
I think so. It's like I have like a team that when I was making a competitive team back in the day, like I had been working on, which was like Venusaur, Typhlosion, Swampert, and then I think I was working on a Shuckle. What was it? Sigilyph and Electros. I think that was the team.
Before you give your answer,
yeah.
Can I... So, based on... Remember back when we used to play Pokemon Black and White and you just spammed Bulldoze in triple battles?
Of course.
So, because of that, I have a very vivid idea of a team of 6 Pokemon that you would have, updated to today, obviously. Now, when you... I'll let you say it. I'm not going to try and guess them out first. But I will let you know how close I am based on what you tell me.
Alright. Well, I went with Venusaur, Typhlosion, Shuckle, Dunsparce, Electros, and then Umbreon.
I was 5 Pokemon right. I was 1 off. The only Pokemon I got wrong was Umbreon.
Oh, yeah.
And the Pokemon I thought you were going to go with was Lucario.
Why would I go with Lucario? Gross.
There was a time when you had Lucario on a team, I remember, way back, pretty much during that generation exclusively. So for some reason I signed it to you in my head.
Okay. Yeah. No,
Umbreon probably fits better.
I think, yeah. It was because I would use...
We all have an evolution on our team.
Yeah, I would use a Swampert, but if I'm only allowed to have 2 starters, then I'd go with...
It's gonna be Typhlosion and Venusaur.
Yeah, those are the 2 I like. I really like those 2.
Would you possibly try out Hisuian Typhlosion, or would you just stick with Jotonian?
I that's what I was thinking about, is going with that version. And I was trying to figure out what my 6th party member was, because I could go with Golurk, and then if I went with Golurk, I wouldn't, because of the type overlap there. Like you were just talking about, I would usually try to go with something that doesn't have a bunch of type overlap, or any at all. which this team doesn't.
It's a cool team. I like it.
Unless is Dunsparce normal rock, or is it just pure?
Just
normal?
pure
It's
normal.
just
Okay.
normal.
That's what
Doesn't
I
change
thought.
type.
It's
just Dunsparce, but more.
I still have yet to really play Scarlet Violet, so
Fair enough.
I just know
All
of
you-
Dunsparce's existence.
All you need to know is that the Dunsparce has its own signature move,
Yeah.
and that's how you evolve it. And it's badass.
So I actually had thought of for my previous list of like the moveset for the Dunsparce that would be on that team. It was Flail, Screech, God. Hold on.
Oh, you had a moveset planned
Just for the one Pokemon.
just for the one. He loves it that much more. Had to have a little bit extra. I think that is pretty cool that none of us have legendaries, but all of us have an evolution. Very interesting.
Okay, so it was
yeah.
Or even pseudos. None of us have pseudos either.
Screech, Coil, Endeavor, Flail.
Interesting.
Wait, was it Endeavor? No. Screech, Coil, Ancient Power, Flail. Those are the four. Make it really annoying.
That would be pretty annoying.
With the Screech and Coil, and then if you get it down low enough, just Flail. Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Anyway,
I don't know, for some reason, like, Dunsparce for me, like, seems like a dig, protect this toxic user.
see?
Just be the most annoying piece of garbage and just waste turns.
See, there is that. I could go that route, but I was just thinking it would be super fun to make like just something that would really mess up, especially with Screech, because of the whole playthrough that we had for Pokemon Silver version on our channel. Like, it was just a lot of fun, like using that Dunsparce for that run.
Right.
Yeah, and like using status effect like stuff, and then
Having it as, like, the support Pokemon.
yeah, that's sort of like was the plan, was, you know, use Screech a bunch to lower the Pokemon's defense, but then I could use Coil to increase the attack to make Flail even stupider. And then I guess I could have taught it like Return instead, because, you know, why not? But
All
anyway,
right, so we managed to hit on a point that I think would be a decent next thing to just kind of talk about. But so we all obviously have some sort of methodology to when we're building teams in the mainline games. I want to talk about the side games in a bit too, to be fair. But I did notice that we don't like to do type overlap. So, was there any, like, other conscious, like, decisions you'll usually make when building teams for in-game, like, things that you always try to, like, have a bullet point for?
I try to generally have at least, like, if I'm doing like a regular playthrough, I try to have at least like one type that can take on any boss character, like any gym leader or Elite Four member or rival battle. I tend to think about, like, all right, I need to have at least one Pokemon that can take out dragons, because there's going to be dragons later in the game, and that's going to be, like, difficult if I don't. So, like, I don't necessarily need to have a dragon on my team, but, like, you know, just a fairy or ice type, or even just a Pokemon with a fairy or ice type move. That's something I generally just try to think about, like, type coverage in general. And also I try not to have my teams be too weighted in one direction in special versus physical attackers.
Right. Yeah.
Because it really, really sucks when you get to a later point in the game and you realize that almost every Pokemon on your team is a physical attacker except for one. And I think, God, that happened to me when I played Brilliant Diamond the first time. Like, I was not thinking about, like, you know, most of my Pokemon were physical attackers, and I think the one Pokemon that wasn't was Blissey.
Oh, so it wasn't even an attacker.
Yeah, it was not good, I'll say. But yeah, I should just try to be mindful of those things. And also, like, I try to keep things, like, if I'm doing a repeat playthrough, I try to keep things fresh and, like, use a Pokemon that I haven't used in a team already before. Just keep things interesting.
Have you discovered any Pokemon recently that you can think of that really, like, grew on you because you put that stipulation on yourself and it managed to open you up to something you might not have liked before?
That's a good question.
Because I have one prime Pokemon that fits that bill for me.
What's that?
Magmar, actually.
Oh, okay.
Boober.
Yeah,
I love Magmar now.
Specifically Magmar or Magmortar too?
I mean, depends on the game. If Magmortar's available and I can get it easily enough, then Magmortar, because it's stronger, but I actually like the design of Magmar more, and its stats are plenty strong enough. Like, it still hits really hard. So, like, I think it's cool. I'll use Magmar if, like, Magmortar's either not available or not easily available.
I'm trying to think of a specific example that this happened to me.
If you want, I'll go ahead about some other, like, stuff I mentioned, and then you can.
Oh yeah, sure.
So as far as, like, stipulations on what I do with my team, so generally I am one of those, like, normies. I don't box my starter. I will use my starter. So since I've played through the game so many times, I'll usually try to pick my starter based on how I'm going to build around them. So, you know, if I'm choosing Squirtle in Leaf Green, like I usually do, alright, so I already have my water type picked out. One of the stipulations I put on myself is I need, on my main team, so that I don't have to keep going to the PC, basic HM coverage that I can put on my Pokemon without having to get, like, a specific HM Mule or something for that. So, yeah. Like, in the Kanto-based games, I always want Surf and Strength, and if I can fit it, maybe Cut, but more so probably Fly. I mean, I don't need Fly, but I will usually make, like, a slot for it because there's just so many good flying types anyway in that region that, like, it's kind of hard not to put that on there somewhere anyway. But yeah, so, like, I try to cover my bases with the basic HM moves. If I have to go and get Pokemon for, like, Defog or something like that, that doesn't really bother me, but, like, if I'm going to be encountering the same stuff like Surf or Rock Smash, like, really, like, everywhere, and I want to have something on my team that can cover that. So I try to have Pokemon that do that. I try not to overlap my types, although in my in-game teams, I've learned to cope and be okay with, like, 2 Pokemon overlapping one type is fine, as long as there's not too much of it, because, like, sometimes there's just not enough solid coverage in certain types that I would like to see. So I'll be like, well, I can get, like, maybe there's this, like, Dark type, and it's really good, but it also is, like, part water. It's like a Hoenn playthrough, and it's like, but I already have Swampert, or I already have this other water type. Well, I want to use this Dark type, so I guess I'm sharing this water typing. Like, I try not to get too bothered by that, but, like, I'll still make sure that, like, a Pokemon has, like, you know, Dive, Surf, Rock Smash, whatever I need the most, so that I can just adventure through the game with that team of Pokemon. So those are the things I usually build around.
I thought of an answer. And this is related to a previous GamingStooges LP.
Delcatty.
Landon's... Yeah, Delcatty.
Yeah.
Because when Landon chose Delcatty as one of his 2 picks for my team, I was initially like, no, come on, Landon, pick a real one.
I remember, like, you were begging. You were like, Landon, please pick something else. And then Landon was like, no, Delcatty.
I wasn't begging. I definitely asked him,
though.
I asked him because I'm like, come on, Landon, pick a real one. And he's like, no, use Delcatty. And I'm like,
it's like, Delcatty's a legit enough pick for me, I think.
Hey, remember that time you told me to use a Vulpix for a Pokemon Blue playthrough?
I did?
Yeah. You said, and I quote, Vulpix. You didn't say Ninetales. You said Vulpix. So... That was... So...
I forgot about that.
I do remember that.
A while ago, I had come up with a way for when I was replaying Pokemon games, the randomizer-esque run,
Yep.
where the teams I would have the choice to pick a Pokemon, or I could opt out of that and then re-choose a Pokemon. Then I would ask 2 to 3 people to come up with a Pokemon that they wanted me to use, and whatever they literally said, I would have to use as long as it was available. So in this case, Jack had said Vulpix. He didn't say Ninetales. He meant Ninetales, but it was too late.
It was too late.
It was too late. And then you randomize. You just randomize the rest of the Pokemon, and as long as it's an eligible Pokemon, yeah, whatever the number comes up, you just you use that.
Do you remember what the rest of that team was?
For that Pokemon Blue playthrough, yeah, it was Venusaur, Bellsprout.
Yep, I remember Bellsprout.
Kangaskhan, Rapidash, Vulpix, Dodrio. No, not Dodrio. Yeah, Dodrio.
Dugtrio?
Yeah, I think it was Dodrio.
Or Doug Trio?
No.
Dodrio?
Dodrio.
I think it was was it Dodrio?
Yeah.
Was it Dodrio or Doduo?
No, it was Dodrio. Yeah, because I had no, it might have been Doduo. I had like a couple Pokemon that were fully evolved, and then I had a couple Pokemon that were base evolution. So that might have been one of the base evolutions. But
which one did Cloud choose?
Did you choose Kangaskhan?
I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted you to use something weird, like that was different.
Yeah, I think it was Kangaskhan that you chose. I know Bellsprout was randomizer.
Oh, random. Yeah.
That Bellsprout. Let me tell you this. We'll get into it, but Gen 1 is gross and
very interesting.
You can use a Bellsprout.
Yep.
Yeah.
I used that Bellsprout pretty much. I mean, it was on my team the whole time. And it was even as far as Victory Road, it was doing work because of rap. But that's
And you know what's funny is this was before we even knew like the whole concept of the badge boost glitch that like a couple of YouTubers have discovered, where like one thing that makes Bellsprout really good is actually just access to growth. So it just spams growth, and because of the glitch involving like the stat boosts you get for the badges that you have, they're supposed to just apply just flat 12.5% boost. But when your stats change in battle, you get that 12.5% boost again. And then if you do it again, it happens again. If an enemy uses Leer, that goes up again. And so like you could just accumulate boosts with Bellsprout and then just like spam Mega Drain, just win. It's funny.
Yeah, but I was just using Wrap on it because you can infinitely lock. If you go first and you Wrap, you can infinitely lock people into not being able to do any attacks. That's why Dragonite in Gen 1 meta is so good with just Wrap.
Yep.
Because
and Bellsprout
so
also
fast.
gets Sleep Powder and Stun Spore, so it has reliable ways to inflict statuses that make it even
powder.
more difficult.
Yeah. You could use Poison Powder because I was using Poison Powder Leech Seed tactics as well. I was using Toxic on the Venusaur for that playthrough because in that game it like double effects. So when one drains, the other one's multiplier goes up, and then like
Toxic. Yeah.
It's stupid by the end of that. So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, that goes back to
we were talking about Delcatty. Yeah, I was gonna say
that was a rant inside of a rant inside of a rant.
Yeah.
So
rantception.
So go back to Delcatty, and then we can finish up the.
Delcatty was good as fuck. Honestly, I gave it Thunderbolt, and it was my electric type for the playthrough. I don't remember what else it had, but it was. I think one of them might have been Return.
Yeah. I remember the playthrough. It wasn't like super overpowered, obviously. Like, it wasn't
No.
It's a
it wasn't
Delcatty.
killing stuff. It wasn't killing stuff as much as you want, but it was putting in work. Like, it would either soften stuff up for other people, or would be able to come and pick off stuff.
It killed at least like 2 of Wallace's Pokemon. So it put in work.
It just goes to show, you train a Pokemon right, it doesn't have to be necessarily broken to still be good.
True.
Yeah. Anyway, for me to answer the original question, which is how I build teams, it depends on what kind of mood set I'm in. Because for a while there, I was doing those randomized teams, so it's like, whatever. As long as I have one Pokemon I know that's decent enough, I can do whatever. I started doing Nuzlocks, and so that's its own deal. And then when I was originally making teams, as long as I had like access to a grass type, I would just pick whatever Pokemon looked coolish, and just like I kind of was playing with over the course of my playthrough for like a normal playthrough. But like
that brings up a really good point. Are there any types that you like try to almost always have on a playthrough team?
Mine would be grass.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other types, but that was like usually my default was because grass you could usually get access to stuff like Stun Spore or Sleep Powder and stuff for status effects. So making other Pokemon easier to catch was always useful. But then also being able to fuck the AI a little bit with some of that.
I found what Momo's team or Momo's move list was in the champion anyway. It was Return, Secret Power, Thunderbolt, and Toxic.
Do you remember what?
Interesting.
Oh no, it's not Secret Power. It's Hidden Power that changes. Based off of it.
Secret Power had like the bonus effect depending on which area you were in. And since you were inside a lot, that was just 30% paralysis. So it was basically just slightly weaker body slam all the time.
Yeah.
Which is not bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus normal type, same type attack bonus.
Exactly. So I mean, it's still going to hit hard enough. No, it's good. It's a good moveset. But for me, when it comes to types, I will always have a water type. If it's not the starter, I will find a water type that I like and put it on the team. Examples being in Generation 3 games, if I pick like Sceptile or Blaziken for my starter, I'll often find something like Gyarados or Azumarill or something water type, maybe Sharpedo, maybe Wailord. Just something that's water type to fill that slot. I usually always have. Or like in the newest game, Scarlet and Violet, I picked Fuecoco as my starter, got Skeledirge. I didn't have a water type, so my water type ended up being Dondozo at the end of the game. That thing's fucking good, by the way. Dondozo is strong.
He's a big
and
boy.
Then the last type besides water that I will almost always have is it used to be rock, but now it's ground for sure. I will always get a ground type.
Same.
It's the small child brain in me is just like stab earthquake, go brrr. And I just like to click earthquake.
But also, it's the only type that's super effective against electric types, and electric types are fairly common.
Electric types are fairly strong against the player in AI in playthroughs if you don't have that ground coverage, right? Because I mean, you're always going to probably have a water and a flying type, which means you're automatically susceptible to electric type attacks. Mm-hmm. Like most players have at least one of those two. Some players have both, so that puts you at risk there. But no, I like ground type because I like the quote unquote, I guess you could call them the mineral types. Like you have steel, rock, ground. I like having at least one of those, and then I realized over time, I just gravitate towards ground. Like I'll have a Rhyperior, I'll have a Nidoqueen, I'll have an Excadrill. I don't care what it is, as long as there's a ground type. I just like having a ground type. It's just really fun to have. So usually water and ground. It depends on the generation. Sometimes I might want a flying type for fly in the generations where you use fly. or in later generations, I will generally want a fairy type. Not always, though, so I can't really say for sure. But sometimes I go with psychic instead. Like, I use one of the magical types, I guess you could say. So, but it's always one water, one ground type, and then something else around that.
I usually try to do something similar. I almost always have a fire type. Usually like water, fire, and ground are 3 that I usually try to have covered, and usually one of either grass or electric.
Okay.
And then the rest can be whatever. Generally, I also try to do like a lot of... I don't use monotypes a whole lot. Or at least I try to like avoid using them a lot, just to have like more type coverage.
Oh, you mean like Pokemon that are only single typed?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I usually don't really go one way or the other with those. Although generally most Pokemon are dual typed at their final evolution, so it just falls into place that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I like...
Shoutouts to Maryland Team Builder.
Oh, yeah.
Always being there.
Always being there to just pick out a team and be like, is there a team? Is there a type that, like, just obliterates my team?
Yup.
And then, like, sometimes you get disappointed because you find out, like, 5 Pokemon on your team are, like, weak to fighting or something.
Damn.
It'd be like that sometimes. There was this one time I was on the team builder and I was like, gee, I wonder how decent this team will be. And it was like 4 Pokemon are weak to fighting. And I was like, oh my god, what am I going to do when I fight a fighting type user?
Like you had a normal, a dark?
I had a dark, I had a steel, I had a rock, and then I had, I think I had an ice type too.
Oh, wow. I keep forgetting that ice is weak to fighting.
Yup. Dude, ice is such a shit type. Defensively.
It really is. I mean, ice is a shit type in general.
It's like, it's really good offensively.
Offensively, I mean, it's quite literally like the glass cannon type.
Oh, yeah. It is.
Yeah, but Snowrunt's so cute, so it's fine.
It is.
So that makes up for it.
It is.
I've always found Glalie to be an interesting Pokemon because like its base stats are just the same across the board, but it's like it's cool. It's just a ball of ice.
I always liked Glalie's design and Snowrunt's design, so I was like, whatever. That almost redeems the entire.
It gets a cool moveset too. Like they just randomly give it access to dark type moves because it has big teeth. So they were like, here's Bite and Crunch.
Yeah, it's like cool.
Just if that Glalie needs to randomly fight a psychic type, it's got you.
You're covered.
What about? All right, let's. How about 3 favorite types?
3 favorite types,
just in general.
You're probably ground water fairy. I like those types.
Not rock.
No, I like ground more now. Like actually going back and like going through like the Pokemon that are ground type versus that are rock type, like more of them are ground than rock.
Okay. Landon?
Grass, and grass.
That's fair.
Does that work? I don't know. Grass.
I mean, if this was Gen 1, they for some reason they program it so that like
it's grass poison.
the Pokemon is like listed.
Poison.
No, I was saying like but that is an interesting note.
Yeah.
But like the single type Pokemon are technically the same type twice, but it can't apply the same weakness twice, so it still just calculates the same. But like in the files it'll be like Squirtle is water, and it's like, what?
It is weird.
Such a poorly designed video game franchise.
It really is.
It is.
Pokemon.
God. Pokemon. Yeah, I don't know. It's like grass is usually my go-to. There's some bug type Pokemon I really like.
Bug types are cool.
Yeah. I'm liking more normal types than I used to.
Oh yeah, me too.
and so like maybe those three. But I also like, I don't know. It's been interesting after completing. I know it's not a lot, but like actually completing 2 Nuzlockes.
It's like changed your perspective
on a lot of stuff. Yeah, and it's like, all right, because it's like, what did I end up using in the leaf green? It was a cool team. But
you know what? I'll pull that up.
Yeah, pull that up. It was like what Aerodactyl, the Venusaur, Starmie. I was trying to use Slowbro. That was, I mean, they're both pretty solid. So like a Psychic is always a good typing to go with.
All right, we got Venusaur, aka Reen X, Reen the 10th. We got Magneton, Sarah Valentine. We got Aerodactyl, General Morgan of Morgan and Morgan. We got Duke Dunn the Snorlax.
Hell yeah.
Olivier the Starmie, and Chloe the Nidoqueen.
Yeah.
I guess Duke Dunnan would be Snorlax would be what you were thinking of.
Probably, yeah. It's like
Snorlax is a really cool Pokemon.
Snorlax is great. I mean, I really like we're doing Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness for the channel right now on Twitch. Go check that out. The VOD should be going up soon. Like Teddy Ursa has been like the return king. Dunsparce.
That's another good ground type, Ursaluna.
Yeah.
Ursaluna is a really cool ground type.
But like Ursa Ring is just normal.
Yep.
Beware is just normal type.
Beware. Beware's normal fighting.
Normal fighting, yeah. But still, it's another normal type.
It's such a fun Pokemon.
Normal is just I don't know. I feel like normal is growing on me as a type, because as a kid it was just like it's just a rat. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's just a ferret. What the fuck?
But once they just like kind of reached a critical mass of cool normal types, it's just like, no, normal's got some cool Pokemon in it.
And even like going back to the older games where you are forced to just use...
I mean, Girafarig is a weird-ass normal type.
It is. It's fun. Baton Pass.
I recently used a Girafarig on a team for the first time in Scarlet and Violet.
To evolve it into
Farigiraf, yeah. But still, it was good.
Okay. Another question, just kind of out of the blue, just to talk about it.
I didn't answer.
Oh, you didn't?
No. Didn't. Well, he did, but he didn't.
I mean, I didn't at all.
Talking about the typings you like?
Yeah.
What are your top 3?
I don't think I did anyway.
Oh no, I was thinking of the team formation.
Yeah, when you were talking about team formation.
And I thought that was good enough for him. He doesn't need to always talk.
Wow.
My answer was the exact same.
See, that's
anyway,
why.
So like,
that's why I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, Jack.
Sorry, Jack.
What are your 3 favorite types of Pokemon?
I don't know, man. I like grass. I just like gravitate to grass types a lot in general. Even if they're like not very good a lot of the time, I still like them. I like dark. Dark is always like an interesting type because it can be like I feel like there's a lot of special and physical attackers in the dark type, like a lot, mostly physical, but like there's a fair amount of special attackers too. And I don't fucking know about the third one. I almost wanted to say fighting, just because it's just a really fun type to use, and just like it's just the type where you punch things. How cool is that? How cool is that?
I was gonna say there is Hitmonlee, and he does not punch.
The type where you kick things.
Thank you.
The type where you just beat the shit out of things. Mono a mono.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what I would say.
We didn't actually touch on this because of the way that we built our teams for an earlier question. So, what would you guys say is your favorite legendary if you had to pick one? Legendary or mythical? Just group them together. There's about 50 of them.
There's too many now.
Oh, yeah.
That's too many.
I mean, I'll say...
When I say 50, it's more like, I'm saying like, I'm being generous. It's like 80 or 90.
Yeah, something like that. Especially if you say mythical and legendary.
Yeah. I mean, it has slowed down. Like, Gen 5, I think they had like
200.
50 some odd.
I think half the Pokedex is just like special Pokemon.
Legendary.
I'll say this: the two that stand out to me, mostly probably design-wise, less so like for gameplay, Lugia and Groudon. I just really like their designs.
I love Groudon.
Yeah, Groudon. Groudon's like cool looking, mono ground, but has a really cool ability, and you can slap Solar Beam on that bitch.
Yup.
And he gets powered up. Can he learn Flamethrower? Am I remembering that right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
he gets Eruption.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But he also has access to Fire Blast and Flamethrower if you want.
Yeah. But I knew there was like he gets a really good fire type move or a couple. Yep. Plus like
I liked that too.
Plus, Earthquake.
Yep. Earthquake. Just click it.
Yeah. But he's
Groudon
cool
has a
moves.
cool. I mean, he also gets stuff like Rock Slide, Stone Edge, Slash. There's a lot of really cool moves.
Groudon was gonna be my answer.
All right, then I'll focus on Lugia, and then you can talk about Groudon, because everyone will forget what we said about Groudon by then. Lugia is just a big bird, and he's got a weird typing, that's for sure.
They literally just gave him that typing because it would make him strong.
I mean...
That's it.
I mean...
He got psychic typing because it was strong.
In Gen 2 world, that's all you need. Gen 1 and 2, be a psychic type.
It's crazy, because there's like 4 different types you could give Lugia, and I would not be surprised for it to have any of them.
Yeah.
Because it could be a dragon, it could be a water, it could be flying, it could be psychic. I don't fucking care.
Yeah. It could be electric.
Make all 4 types.
They should make a Lugia type.
Yeah, just make its own type that it has.
Jack,
I love that.
What's your favorite legendary?
Why is it Groudon?
I love that one meme of well, it's not even a meme, it's just a tweet that Hideki Naganuma posted once of a close-up of Lugia's belly, and he just says, "I do love Lugia's pot belly."
It's a good design.
It's a good belly. It's just like...
I mean, I will say it also helps for me that I gravitated towards Silver as a kid, and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness was a thing, and you have a...
It's almost like the games were catering to your favorite legendary.
That game specifically, at least. I don't even remember using Lugia much as a kid, though. I remember having a team of 6 Typhlosions because I,
because you duplicated
it.
That cloning glitch was so easy to do, too.
So, I do remember that, but I don't really remember using much of a legendary, even back then.
I remember at one point I had a Blastoise that had 4 water moves.
Oh, that was like my Typhlosions and Venusaurs, and like most of my Pokemon, honestly, from even all the way up to like Gen 3, early Gen 4, I was just like, let me just put 4 of the same type, like on half my Pokemon. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I had like I think it was either Bubble or Water Gun. Bubble Beam, because I had imported it from Gen 1. I was using it in Gold. And then Surf and Hydro Pump. Like,
you really don't need anything else.
No, it's water type. Why would I need anything else?
No.
But yeah, so Groudon.
Oh, Groudon, that's a good answer. Good answer,
yeah,
Steve.
Good answer,
Steve. Good answer.
Yeah, no, I think Groudon is sick. I mean, Ruby was my first Pokemon game, so like seeing... I chose Ruby because I liked Groudon more than Kyogre. Just like looking at the box, I'm like, I want that one. And I don't know, Groudon's just fucking sick. He's like covered in spikes and like has these glowy parts, and he's just looks very sharp, weighs a ton, literally, and he is, I mean, like Landon said, mono ground. It's got Fire Blast for grass coverage. It's got Drought to handle water types, and Solar Beam. So like it's ready for anything.
It's a monster.
People always say that Groudon like didn't know what he was doing when he was taking on Kyogre, like just sitting on that one plot of land in the middle of the water. He can make more ground, you know. And
he doesn't
also,
need it. He's better than that.
He can just literally make more by causing it to rise from the water, because he can fucking control land because he's cool. Groudon is awesome.
Groudon's one of my favorites,
but aside from that, I also like Zapdos a lot.
Zapdos is a really cool legendary.
Zapdos also looks very sharp.
You seem to like the legendaries that would hurt you if you touched them wrong.
And I like Victini too. Who has very pointy ears.
My favorite legendary is, to no one's surprise, it's Mewtwo. Like,
you are that kid, aren't you?
It's Mewtwo.
I am that kid. Like, Mewtwo is so cool. I'm the kid that as soon as I got Mewtwo in Red version, I just continued to play the game for like 20 more hours with an overpowered Mewtwo and nothing else. Like, walking around Kanto just clicking Psychic on everything because it was funny watching the meters go down really fast all the time. It was pleasing to me, so I like Mewtwo. I still think he's really cool. I like his design. I like the fact that he was like...
Mewtwo is cool.
Darkest Mustard wants to know, what about Mew?
He looks like Frieza. I
mean, I like Mew. Mew's actually probably one of my favorite mythicals. Might still be my favorite mythical. But Mewtwo's definitely my favorite legendary. But another one of my favorites is, that hasn't been talked about yet, is Rayquaza. Because it's just a fucking giant dragon. Like, it hyper beams things, lives up in the sky, and gets pissed off at aliens coming from space.
To this day, I do not refer to him by its official pronunciation.
You because still pronounce it Rayquaza?
It is Rayquaza, but I think I've always pronounced it Rayquaza, and I think it sounds way more badass in my opinion.
I used to pronounce it Rayquaza. I mean,
but
as long as we both know which Pokemon you're talking about, I really don't care, because even the anime has mispronounced it. So.
I know it's not technically the way it's pronounced, but it's just the way that I'm used to, and I'm stubborn. It's the same with Arceus. I know it's technically Arceus, but it sounds weird to me.
Yeah, that's fair. And then one more Pokemon that's really cool is Giratina. I think Giratina is like an insanely epic Pokemon. It's literally just Satan. Like, they made Satan as a Pokemon. They got away with it.
It's pretty Satan. Hell yeah.
I'll say, since I didn't mention a mythical, I like Jirachi, but that might be mostly because of the Coliseum bonus disc. And I can just print Jirachis.
You can just print infinite Jirachis as much as you want, basically. I mean, you have to start a new file, but I mean, you can make as many as you want.
I know this isn't incorrect, but I'm looking at the Cerebi page for legendary Pokemon just to have them all in front of me. And on the section under Mythicals, it starts Mew, Celebi, Jirachi, Deoxys.
So here's the thing: Deoxys is back and forth. It's been the thing about mythical Pokemon is that they are not so like the distinction isn't really there in Japan as much as it is outside of Japan, and mythical Pokemon as a whole are just like they've gone back and forth on it. Like Deoxys, because of the time it was available, it was considered legendary, but then it was mythical again. And the same thing with Arceus. Is like, even though there's a game where you can get it, it's still technically a mythical because that's just how they designated it. I don't get it.
Well, okay, but the point that I'm more was making is that you have like 3 Pokemon
Small
that are
and
just
cute.
like small and
Yeah.
cute, and then you have big wiggly alien.
And the funny thing is it just gets weirder after, like, from there, because you get Shaman and Manaphy, but then there's also Darkrai and Arceus.
Yeah.
You get Victini, and you also get Meloetta, but then
And Genesect.
Keldeo's kind of on the fence, and then Genesect. And then
Genesect's cool. I don't care what you think.
Genesect is cool.
no, Genesect's cool. It's just,
I said
the
I don't care
design
what you
wise.
think.
It's interesting. They've gone away from what they called like the pixie mythicals. They used to have those pixie mythicals like all the time, and they basically like kind of stopped doing that. But I mean, mythicals in general, they don't really do them anymore. So
Al did shout out Maya the Jirachi, which was a fantastic Jirachi for my Brilliant Diamond Nuzlocke.
Hell yeah.
I forget what the name of the Manaphy was I had in that. But I
remember.
I used the Manaphy because
Oh.
I lost a bunch of Pokemon to that nerd at the very end. The last rival
Hold
fight.
on, let me
lost
me
Yeah.
find it.
my Torterra and Machamp and a bunch of like high-end Pokemon. So I already had the Jirachi on my team, but I brought in that Manaphy, and I used it, I think, in one or two fights.
I mean, to be fair, that Weavile like carried you through those last two fights.
Yeah.
Just-
I mean, that was the point of the Weavile, was just to
yes.
win those last two.
It did its job.
Everyone had a point except for Drifloom for that. I don't think I used the Drifloom at all. Oh well, that's fine. It was there, just in case.
Out of the weird mechanics that they've had in the newer games, like Mega Evolution, Z moves, stuff like that, like which ones would you say you like the most out of like those? There's 4 basically. You got Mega Evolution, Z moves, Dynamax, and Terra.
All right, since Jack isn't responding, I'll go.
I'm trying to find what the name of your Manaphy was.
Oh, okay.
I'm skimming through the Brilliant Diamond VODs.
Well, while he's doing that, I guess I'll answer. I kind of used Mega Evolutions. I never used Z moves. I think I Dynamaxed once. And I haven't played Scarlet and Violet, so I don't know. Oh, Iris the Manaphy. That's
Yep.
right.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al. Very cool.
Thank you, Al. Very cool.
So I guess the answer is Mega Evolutions, but I think fundamentally it was the coolest because you had it was a select number of Pokemon, but they had like a form change. Unlike like Dynamax, most Pokemon just got big, and then their stats got bigger. Some of them had like a unique form, but like you couldn't just use any version of that Pokemon. It had to be a special version of that Pokemon that had a Dynamax version.
yeah.
Whereas Z moves, you could just throw that Z crystal on anyone, and they could just use that Z move basically.
So, sorry, was the question just about like
Which of the 4 of the new mechanics?
Which of the 4 gimmicks is your favorite?
Oh, probably Mega Evolutions if I had to choose one, but I do like terastallizing. I think it's a really interesting mechanic actually that like Pokemon can have a terastallize or
a different type than their
the
Terra type.
Terra type. There we go. I forget the term. Their Terra type could be different from their other types, and they can just like switch to that type and become that. And I think that's pretty sick. Honestly, it makes for some
I'll say that.
It makes for some cool strategies.
It's cool too because you could also still double up on one of the types it already is, and then just make its stab become adaptability boosted instead of regular 1.5, which is cool if you wanted to go that route.
I will say, I don't give a fuck about Z moves. They're just like they're just moves with longer cutscenes. And Gigantamaxing is fucking stupid, honestly. It's like, ooh, the Pokemon is big now and it has bigger stats.
It's not even multiple stats, it's literally just HP. But they don't get a raw boost in their attack and defense, but they get better moves, so you're essentially dealing more damage as well.
Yeah. But like it's just kind of stupid and lazy. Like there's no strategy to it, you know?
So
he loves Dynamaxing.
I don't care. I'm gonna be the weird one. I'm not the biggest fan of really any of these gimmicks. Like I'm the type where if I could play without any of them, I would, and I usually do in most circumstances. And I mean, to be fair, in Sword and Shield, you don't really have a choice but to play without it for most of the game because they don't even let you Dynamax wherever you want. But that said, from a mechanical standpoint, just conceptual, like not just conceptually, but just how it plays out, how you use it, Dynamax is probably my favorite, and the reason why is two things. One, because you can use it on any Pokemon. Yes, Gigantamax is a thing, so they can get an alternate look, and also they have special max moves that regular Dynamax Pokemon don't, so they might have special effects that those regular Dynamax Pokemon don't have access to. That's fine, whatever. That's cool. But I like Dynamax because any Pokemon can do it, which means that if you like a specific Pokemon, I mean, as long as it's one of the 650 that exists Sword and Shield, because they don't have all the Pokemon in it, but if you like a Pokemon and it's in Sword and Shield, and it's one of like the 650 Pokemon that are in the game, you could just make it your ace Pokemon. You can make it your boss Pokemon. It just is you just put it as your Dynamax Pokemon, there you go. Like, you could just make any Pokemon your ace, and I just think that's really cool because of the fact that you can make it on any Pokemon. I do agree that just making it bigger is kind of stupid looking, but like, I mean, it's kind of hard to make something that works for everything without it looking stupid because you have to account for literally every Pokemon that might use it. So I like it more than Z moves.
I understand that and acknowledge that, but I still disagree. I'm still just not a fan.
I'm not trying to win you over. I'm just trying to.
I know.
I'm trying to just give my perspective. The audience can decide for themselves which ones they like more. I mean, someone here might like, Mega Evolution the best. Some people might like Z moves the best. I'm just presenting my side. I just like Dynamax the most because of how it works.
I will say I think terastallizing looks pretty fucking stupid, but I think it's a fun mechanic.
I like terastallization too for the same reason that I like Dynamax, because literally any Pokemon can just be your Terra Pokemon.
Yeah.
If there's a Pokemon that doubles up on types and you just assign it a different Terra type, well then problem solved. There you go.
And like, I will say like, I actively used terastallizing when I played Scarlet and Violet, which is more than what I can say for the other three. So
yeah. The problem with Mega Evolutions is conceptually, they are the coolest ones. And I can't debate that. Conceptually, they're the coolest ones. The problem is, not a lot of Pokemon have them.
Yeah, like 4 Pokemon.
And a lot of the Pokemon that have them, didn't need them. Yeah. So, like, no one asked for Mega Garchomp. Nobody asked for Mega Tyranitar.
Like, I think Mega Evolutions, like, could have been so much better, because, like, I do think, like, as a concept, it is extremely cool to, like, give Pokemon that are otherwise not very strong, like, a stronger form to make them better. I mean, just look at fucking Beedrill. Like, they made Beedrill good. So...
And like, that was the only way they were going to be able to do that, because Pokemon, of all the traditions they've broken, no Pokemon can go through 3 stages of evolution. There's base Pokemon, first evolution, second evolution, that's it.
Yeah.
So Beedrill literally could not get better without something like that.
Yeah. And you are right that a lot of Pokemon with Mega Evolutions did not need them. Like, Mega Garchomp is just absurd.
Like, I get the reason why they did it, but also Mega Diancie was also overkill. Like, I get the reason why they did it. Conceptually, it makes sense. It's literally a Pokemon that was, like... It's... Like, the crystals on its body and some shit, like, it was, like, kind of like an early thing. Like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, it didn't need it.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many Pokemon that did not need it.
Yeah.
Z-moves...
But Mega Venusaur was really
like,
cool, so...
Oh yeah, no.
Whatever.
Mega Venusaur was really cool. Z-moves, just, like... I like the fact that Z-moves can work technically on any Pokemon, but, like, at the same time, they don't really, because there's a lot of Pokemon that they need the item slot. So you can't just give them a Z-Crystal because they need some other item. Like, if you're using, like, a Pokemon that really relies on, like, leftovers for recovery, like Snorlax, you can't give it something else. It needs leftovers. Or, like, a Pokemon that, like, is really good as, like, a Choice Band attacker, you can't give it a Z-move. It needs that Choice Band. Like, you can't give it to anything else. But, I mean, in a playthrough, it doesn't really matter, so you can use Z-moves on anything, and it's fine. It's pretty fun. But then when, like, you want to use it on, like, Battle Tree, or if, like, you're playing against friends, or just playing against people online, it's like, it's not really something you can use it on. So I do like the other two because of the fact that they can literally just be used on anything, even though competitively that just it completely wrecked both their metas. Like Dynamax, like the people that play it competitively, like they couldn't even use it, and like it was so central to like the official doubles. Like Dynamax is, they specifically build around certain Pokemon, but I think that's cool. Like, I don't know what they're going to do for the next generation though, but they've done a gimmick for like everything since Generation 6, so they'll probably come up with something. We'll find out in a few years.
Or they could just bring Mega Evolutions back and give them to more Pokemon.
No, they can't.
We know that we're not. They can't do that because that would be acknowledging the people like Mega Evolutions, and they would refuse to do that. I do want to ask one last question, then we're going to move on to talk about spin-offs and side series stuff because they deserve to be talked about. But this is like a last thing. I did want to ask, like, one thing I really like that it wasn't a gimmick, but it was something that like they did a lot was they've been doing a lot is like either cross-gen evolutions and mixed in with this is regional variants. I really like the concept of regional variants because of the fact that like you basically get new Pokemon without them having to make a whole new Pokemon conceptually for it.
Yeah.
So I like when I mentioned like the whole like the generational gimmick stuff like earlier, like Z-moves and all that stuff, I would actually be fine if they like never did any of those again and they just gave us more regional variants and more cross-gen evolutions. Like I would be happy with that more than anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I pulled this up. Like, most of my Pokemon on here are cross-gen evolutions, so, like...
I think they should give Shuckle an evolution.
That would be so weird. Like, what do you think they'd do with that?
I don't know. They gave Dunsparce an evolution.
They did.
So...
They just have to... Just give it more noodles.
Yeah.
More Shuckle. Bigger shell.
Make it a Hydra Shuckle. It's 7 heads.
Yeah. And part dragon type. It's Bug Rock Dragon.
The first triple type.
I was gonna say, no, it would be funny if that was the first Bug Dragon Pokemon we got, because we don't have a Bug Dragon yet. It'd be funny if that was our first Bug Dragon type. Just the fucking 7-headed Shuckle.
That would be badass.
That would be fucking badass.
Why don't they do that? Nintendo. Pokemon Company.
Game Freak.
Someone.
Pokemon Company. Listening.
Please take our
Tillamook.
idea. Tillamook invent this Pokemon.
Tillamook. Oh, speaking of which, I'll be right back.
Oh. He's going to get him. Jack, was there anything else you wanted to touch on with main series stuff? I'm sure
Not
Landon
really.
would rather talk about the side series stuff anyway, so might as well say whatever we can. I mean, I think I've said most of what I like. I mean, I like, as evidenced by my favorites, like, I like most of the older gens, not because, like, I'm just an old gen guy. I just like a lot of what they did more than what some of the newer games do, or, like, I feel like sometimes the newer games are trying to do too much, like, of this specific new thing that I don't care for. But I mean, at the same time, there's like stuff that each of the various games have done that I wish if they like put it all together, it'd be amazing. Like Generation 6, why have we not got something since that is as good as the PSS for online? The PSS was literally perfect, and then they just replaced it with things that are strictly worse than the PSS. Like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's connectivity feature hub isn't that bad. Like, it's alright, but like the PSS was just the best thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Gen 7, I liked Poképelago. They never brought that back. I want an easy to go into submenu where I can just send Pokemon to like little jobs on the sides and just have them do those things and get stuff. They kind of had that in Sword and Shield with like actual jobs, but like you had to go to a Pokemon Center. You couldn't just open up your menu to do it. Landon's got Tillamook.
I have Tillamook. I don't have any of the limited editions, and I don't have frozen custard today. I have regular old ice cream, except it's Marionberry pie. So it's got pie chunks in there with Marionberries.
Well, now that you're
Nice.
back,
Yeah.
I do want to ask everybody, what was your first spin-off game or side series game?
I answered that perfectly.
Yeah, that's
Pokemon-
true. You did say
Po-
that.
Pokemon Ruby and or Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire was my
Okay.
first one.
That
Actually,
checks.
no. I think I played. I probably played the Stadium mini games with friends before I did that.
Yeah, but I mean, you
Um,
did mention that you played the main series games before you got Ruby, so.
Yeah, but I mean, like a little bit, not a ton, but
But you did used to play the mini games
Yeah.
a lot.
yeah, I had a friend with a 64, and we would just kind of like play the mini games in Stadium 2 a lot. I also played. There was a while where there was like one summer where me and one of my friends just played Pokemon Channel like every day. I don't know why. We were fucking addicted to it. And then once we stopped playing it, we never went back to it.
Yeah, mine. My first one's probably Stadium. I'm trying to think if there was anything that came close to coming before Stadium, but like all the other early stuff, like Pokemon TCG, Pokemon Snap, I didn't even own personally. All this stuff was definitely played after Stadium 1. That was definitely my first one.
The ice cream is fantastic. That is my update.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, no, side series games though. We did mention what our favorite ones were earlier. Do we have any experience with other games from the spin? There's so many spin-offs, by the way. There's God.
I forgot.
You know what? I think this calls for a Smash or Pass.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say I forgot the actual fifth answer for mine. Was Pokemon Conquest, but yeah. And
Oh yeah, I forgot about that game.
to answer Darkest Mustard's question, because we were just talking about Pokemon Stadium, did anyone like the minigames? That was the only part of Pokemon Stadium that matters.
It's true.
It is pretty true.
All right, yeah, let's play some Smash and Pass.
All right. Fuck yeah.
I'm trying to pull up a page that has like both the side series and the spin-offs because they are coupled as like they do have that differentiation. Okay. So side games. Let's start. Did we want to talk about anything else when it comes to the Pokemon Stadium games? I mean, I personally liked being able to like connect my Game Boy game because like And this has been like a sentiment that I think really needs to like is really helpful to put things into perspective. The Pokemon Stadium games are basically physical DLC for your Pokemon Generation 1 and 2 games. Like, if you get those games, you're probably using them so that you can play extra content from your main games.
Or the minigames.
But...
I mean, they were cool.
Yes, Jack?
They were cool as games. But yeah, just
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything. Sorry.
just go ahead.
Oh, you moved over to your mic. I was like, you're going to say something?
Oh, I just looked. I was looking at my phone and I put it away.
I
Sorry.
do remember I played a lot of Pokemon Stadium with like my actual like Pokemon Red or Blue team. I don't remember which version it was that I was using at the time for it, but I managed to do round 1 and get Mew unlocked, because you unlock Mew as a rental Pokemon if you beat the round 1. But I never did beat round 2 because that was hard. Blaine would spam Fire Spin on his Rapidash, and I couldn't outspeed it sometimes, and it would just hacks me to death because it would just never miss because it's the AI. Why would it miss?
The AI can't miss.
Pokemon Stadium 2, though, I did play through to completion. I even like you get like a final battle with like Silver and Red and stuff like that, and those are like really good. I remember playing all the way through. That was fun. The next side games. Did any of you guys use Pokemon Box Ruby and Sapphire?
Never did.
No.
As far as I'm aware, this game doesn't exist because I've never seen it before.
I've seen it.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale Darkness then, right?
Oh, but those are good games.
Smash.
So yeah, what do you guys... Jack, you go first because Landon has a lot more experience and he's definitely going to have to go last. What is your experience with Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale Darkness?
I had a friend that owned Coliseum when I was a kid, and there was a summer where different friend actually from the one with Pokemon channel. There was a summer or like the spring leading into a summer, I forget, where we would like just kind of trade the controller back and forth for a playthrough of Pokemon Coliseum, and that was the last time I played it, and that was close to 20 years ago, but it was really fun. I have never played XD though.
So, I don't own it anymore, but I did own Coliseum. I still have XD Gale of Darkness. In Coliseum, I got like almost to the end of the game. It was like I was at like Real Game Tower, like when you have to like do like basically the end game stuff, and I just never finished it. But I remember I had a lot of fun with it. And XD Gale of Darkness, I haven't gotten too far. I need to go back to it, but I enjoyed what I was playing with it so far. I remember my first experience with it was that my friends had Coliseum, and I remember I watched them play it, and like I knew, like it reminded me of Stadium battle-wise in a way, but I just thought it was so cool because I was like, wait a minute, this is like a regular Pokemon game on the TV. This isn't just I put my Pokemon in there. Like, it's just a Pokemon game on the TV, and they're in 3D, and they're moving around. Like, my 11-year-old brain was like, holy shit. So, I thought it was exciting, so eventually I got around to getting them. But I want to give the floor to Landon, because Landon's got the most experience with these games, and I definitely want to hear his thorough thoughts on both of them.
Well, I'll die on the hill that I think they're good games, and anyone who doesn't can kill me, please.
And it's a fair point to make because there's been like a new backlash against Coliseum specifically. Like not XD, but just Coliseum specifically.
Why?
Because
I don't know. Because people like to hate on things.
Yeah. If anything, if people start to like something or show interest in it, it's like people are just like, yeah, Gen 2 sucks. Because
it's like the same sentiments. Like people are just kind of like finding logistical reasons to be like, this game is bad, you shouldn't like it.
Yeah. And Coliseum, it was the first one of these kind of games, and it has a limited roster of Pokemon that you could have access to in comparison to like XD, but XD is the sequel, so they're going to add more. And I don't know. It's still fun. I don't know. I did the Let's Play for Coliseum like years ago now. But I still...
It's just nice to have a Pokemon game with a different approach.
Yeah.
It's not like the badge system, league system that they constantly go for.
And that's usually like so people's complaints about like main Pokemon games is like they have to have like they're always having badge systems or whatnot. But these are games that prove that you don't need that. You can do a game where it's just an RPG and you get Pokemon.
Yeah.
To build off of that, we didn't talk about this game mostly because we were talking about like regular core mechanics, and this game doesn't really have those, but like at least some of them. But Legends Arceus is like the sixth game under like those other 5 that I mentioned because of that. Because it's like it's not the same formula that they've done over and over and over and over again. Like they have, most of the core mechanics are there. You still got the Pokemon party, you still do an adventure, but the adventure's like totally different structure, and I like that.
Yeah, from what I played of Legends, it was solid. I think that one in particular does suffer from some stuff, but we can do a whole later on that specifically if we want. But yeah, for Pokemon Coliseum and XD, I think they're really solid games, and they have like a fun gimmick of stealing Pokemon.
Yeah.
I know it's for a good reason because bad guys corrupted these Pokemon, but then it also introduced a cool like new mechanic of Pokemon with Shadow Pokemon where they had like a different moveset and they just acted a little different.
You had like it wasn't really a type, but it was a type on its own.
Yeah. It was a Pokemon with a third type, essentially. It was just, they added a new typing to it, and they added basically a new type of Pokemon moves, especially with XD. So that's like, I will say Pokemon Coliseum you only have the one Shadow move.
Yeah, Shadow Rush.
Shadow Rush. You can only use Shadow Rush, it's what it is.
But XD really fleshed that out.
Yeah, XD, like, you have multiple different Shadow moves. It's pre the special physical split, but it does have a special physical split for Shadow moves. It's kind of crazy, and it's a lot of fun.
Like, can you imagine like if they made another like XD style game today? How much they could evolve on that concept?
I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I would actually be happy for once.
I think like structurally the games are super like unique and solid. I think the one thing that they kind of suffer from is that because of the limited amount of Pokemon you have access to, that kind of lowers the game's replay value a little bit. Because you just don't have like the wide variety of options that you do in the main series games. But like that doesn't take away from the fact that they're still good games, but
I think,
and like I know this might be a hot take.
There's less freedom, I guess.
I think a lot of the people that hate Pokemon XD and Coliseum, or at least they try to present the argument that they're not good games, they are, is that I'm just going to come out and say it. Some Pokemon fans are just spoiled. Like, there's certain core mechanics of Pokemon that are so free form and just give you so many more options you just don't have in other RPGs. And XD and Coliseum just kind of pare it back, but there's still way more options than your standard RPG. Like, when you think of each Pokemon as a party member, generally in RPGs you have like, 8 or so party members, and you can use 3 of them at a time, 4 of them at a time, 5 of them at a time, and like they'll be like restricted to a certain block of moves. And yes, they generally have more techniques than a single Pokemon can have at one time, but like with Pokemon you have 6 Pokemon at a time, and there's like dozens of different options. And even in Coliseum and XD, there's still several dozen different options. Like, the only game that I know like immediately that it's not a strategy RPG, because strategy RPGs do have similar situations with this, but in just like standard like turn-based RPGs, like the closest that comes to that is like Chrono Cross. Like, I can't think of anything else that has that many characters. I'm sure there's like a couple other games, but these are exceptions rather than the rule. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's my argument.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, and I will say, XD has, I feel like, more of an option for team making at the beginning than Coliseum does.
Oh
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because XD, Coliseum, they really like take your time just introducing you to the world. It's just Coliseum having to do what it needs to do to sell you on the concept, but it does suffer from that.
Although
They do
go ahead.
They do give you 2 starters at the beginning of Coliseum.
They
though.
give you 2 starters, and you have your option of one of the Johto starters.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that is a choice. You choose which one of those 3 to get, and then you don't get access to the other 2 till later. So that does help a little bit with replay value, because you either have, a Bayleaf, Croconaw, you have a Kulava. So that does help a little bit with replay value there. But I would say XD is a little bit more replayable. What is something I think a little bit more fun is Mount Battle. There's a whole side, specifically in Coliseum, you can go through the entirety of Mount Battle, and if you do that, you get a Ho-Oh at the end of it. So you can actually unlock Ho-Oh, and then you can bring it to your main, the main games, which is
Now,
fun.
fair to mention, as fun as all these games are, we're not trying to take these. Like, our argument is that these games are good and they're more deserving of attention than some people are giving them nowadays. But it is fair to mention that some of these games were made with design decisions specifically because they were rebuilding the whole concept of the National Pokédex, or they were really putting it together for the first time, but they had to redo access to all these old Pokemon because they, at the time, couldn't connect the Gen 2 games to everything else. So Gen 3 was the first generation where they had to, try to get all the Pokemon accessible again, and Coliseum and XD were, where you got the majority of the Johto Pokemon, for the most part.
Yeah, there's
even after factoring in Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Emerald, they don't give you a whole lot. Most of it's in the GameCube games.
there's a reason why there's so much Johto in those, for sure.
Any other mentions on XD Gala Darkness?
No.
Otherwise, next game is Pokemon Battle Revolution.
Pass.
Well, okay, no, I'll say this. Pokemon Battle Revolution has better, move animations and, Pokemon models than a lot of the 3D games that came after.
So I'll say Pokemon Battle Revolution I like Pokemon Battle Revolution for what Jack mentioned. It is, for the actual battles, some of the most fun to watch because of all of the, insane animations that they do.
Presentation-wise, Battle Revolution is fantastic.
And you can customize your character. This was the first game you could customize your trainer in.
That's true. The problem is that the
game is literally
content
nothing without the Gen 4 games.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. Because there's no mini games, there's no anything on the side to do.
Yeah.
It's Stadium without the stuff that made Stadium playable without access to the games that they're supposed to connect to.
Yeah.
And when you take that out, then you don't really have anything.
You have a handful of preset rental teams,
And they're not.
and
great.
that's it. And no, they're not at all.
Do any of you have experience with My Pokemon Ranch?
No, not at all.
No.
Pass.
The next
Pass.
was the Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy.
Never played.
I did.
I played a
I love
little bit of it, and they're pretty fun.
So, I have to say, I want to get around to the to playing a translated version of the sequel, because the sequel basically just builds off the first game and then just adds extra plot and extra cards, and so I'm gonna play that at some point. But I did really like the original trading card game on Game Boy because it was not only was it really cool at the time where they managed to condense that really nice art on the Pokemon cards into a Game Boy screen and still have all the details there. So you got to see the cool, Pokemon TCG artwork on a Game Boy screen. But they also structured the game like a regular Pokemon game, where you go to these different clubs and you fight the club leader and you can get badges and then you can take on grandmasters. And I'm using a lot of quotation marks here because it's literally just the same adventure, but it's condensed down with card games. And the music's really fun, the presentation's really fun. It's just a really fun game. So I do want to get around to playing the second ones. Do you guys have any experience with the Pokemon Play It games?
The what?
Pass.
They're Windows games.
Nope.
Pass.
Unless you're talking about the Dream thing. Not Dream Radar, but the
Dream World? No.
Okay.
No.
That
Different
I did
thing.
have experience with.
Pokemon Pinball and Pokemon Pinball Ruby Sapphire. Smash. I didn't play the original Pokemon Pinball. Did any of you guys play the first Pokemon Pinball?
I played
Nope.
a fuck ton of it. And by that I mean I played an amount of it that was greater than 0.
Was it is it good? Because I didn't get to play the first one.
It's all right. It has
in terms of being a pinball game, is it good?
Oh yeah, for a pinball game, it's really fun. But it has two machines. There's two different ones, so it's not a whole lot.
There's
of
no
variety.
yeah.
Yeah, but you and I know it's the same for Ruby Sapphire. But you catch Pokemon basically. And I always thought the concept of it was really cool. So yeah. I have my cartridge. It's downstairs.
I never owned it, but I did play and take turns with my cousin on Pinball Ruby Sapphire, and we completed the whole Pokedex that way. It's a lot of fun catching stuff because, like you said, you catch stuff with the pinball. They have I'm assuming they do the same for the original, but in Ruby Sapphire, they have a Pokedex that you can fill out and then look at the Pokedex entries.
Yeah. And it was fun.
I just thought that was cool
because you had the different environments that you could that basically by doing certain stuff on with the pinball, you could make certain environments come up to get certain Pokemon to come out.
Yeah.
Jack, your thoughts on pinball?
Pokemon Pinball.
Never played the original. Love Ruby and Sapphire. Played that a ton when I was a kid. Don't really have too many thoughts beyond that. I think it's a really good pinball game, and that's about it.
I'm surprised they haven't done and
made another one since.
Yeah.
I think honestly, just pinball games they don't make them anymore that much. There's some, but they don't have we don't have iconic pinball game releases like we used to.
Well, Pokemon Company, fix that.
The next major series on the Wikipedia page is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Whoa.
Smash!
So, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Red Rescue Team.
Excellent.
This was interesting, the fact that they released one for DS and one for Game Boy Advance, so if you had the new system, you could play the new version, but if you had a Game Boy Advance, you still had one that you could play. I thought that was really cool.
When I got this game on launch day, and so did my sister, but I got Blue Rescue Team because I had a DS, but she didn't have a DS yet, so she got Red Rescue Team. But it's still the same game, so...
Yeah.
You just have more buttons with Blue Rescue Team.
Yeah, and you have the touch screen to display extra information, but it's the same game.
I did they had some connectivity with the two games. Where you could, if you had red in the bottom slot and blue. They also did that with some of the other DS Pokemon games, where depending on what cartridge you had in
Diamond Pearl Platinum, if you had one of the Gen 3 games in, you could encounter certain Pokemon.
Yeah, I always thought that was a cool, neat concept.
And that is why the DS models before the DSi are better, because there were games that did this.
Yes. and you just lost functionality. But anyway, yes, I enjoy the Mystery Dungeon games, and that's the end of my statement.
Yeah, no, the rescue, even Rescue Team is still really good to go back to.
Vanilla Rescue Team,
Well,
it's fine. It's classic, bona fide classic.
classic.
Come on, folks, classic.
Explorers
real-
of Time and Darkness.
The real true classic.
So
True.
Here's the
classic.
thing. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time and Darkness. Don't even mention spin-off. One of the best Pokemon games.
Just period.
Just period.
Just period.
Just period.
Yep.
Period.
Name a Pokemon game with a better story.
I'll wait.
There is none.
There isn't one.
Like, yes, a couple of the main series games have some really good stories, like Black and White, Sun and Moon. You could argue Scarlet and Violet's plot picks up and is pretty good, but like none of them hit like Time and Darkness. The plot of that game is just good.
Time and Darkness,
like just legitimately good.
is just like up here with like your other RPGs that have fantastic stories. And then even the best of like a normal Pokemon game is like, I don't know, like
yeah, it's like down a bit.
It's like way down. It's like,
and
all right,
yeah, it's hard to debate that, but yeah, Time and Darkness just has a legitimately really good story, and the mechanics and gameplay, just they built off of the first game, just made it better.
I have a question for Landon.
Yeah.
Did you also get this game for your birthday? Because it came out 5 days before our birthdays.
I think so. I think it was a birthday gift.
Yeah, mine. I definitely got mine as a birthday gift.
Do you guys remember getting like the little booklet from GameStop?
I do. I still have it. I don't know where the fuck it is.
I used to have it.
It's in one of my fucking drawers somewhere, but I do still have it.
Yeah, it was like Explorer's Handbook or something. And I was like, this.
Yeah.
It was like a meaty handbook.
It was cool.
I don't think I have mine anymore, but that's what happens when you move like 3 times.
Yeah.
It just
They
happens.
need.
Just happens.
They've already done it with Rescue Team. We need a Switch update for this
God, I would fucking come if they did an Explorers remake.
I would nut all over Jack's cum if they did an Explorers remake. I would buy a plane ticket right now just to do that. Talk about patron exclusive content.
Hell yeah.
Oh god, I think we're gonna have to make a totally different account for that one. But yeah, no, they need to remake the Explorers games.
God, they
Explorers
so
of
do.
Sky I've heard even better. It's the same game, but you have extra plot elements. You have extra content. I have it. I just haven't played through it yet.
I also have it. I remember when it came out and it got like worse reviews than Time and Darkness, and I don't really get why.
They do this all the time though. Like critics, if they're not seeing like a totally new experience, even if it's like the same thing but better, they'll be like, well, it's still the same thing, so it's
7 out of 10.
Like they did that with like the Legend of the, they've done it with so many games. They've done it with like Sonic games, they've done it with like the Legacy of Goku series. Like they didn't care for the first one. They thought the second one was a little better, but they thought Boo's Fury was worse, even though it's, we'll get to that though. We have another podcast. They just do that with a lot of series that aren't like the big name stuff because they have no obligation to be nice to them. So they'll be like, this is okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But
anyway, yeah.
Explorers of Sky is a great game.
All the Explorers.
I have played it.
There was a WiiWare trilogy that did not get released outside of Japan.
Goodness, I wish.
Called there's Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Keep Going Blazing Adventure Squad, Let's Go Stormy Adventure Squad, and Go For It Light Adventure Squad.
You know, if I can,
it was split into 3 versions.
If I can find a like decent ROM of one of them that's translated, I might do it on stream, just for fun.
I mean, it's. I assume it's probably good. Like, it's just, maybe it might not be up to the first 2, like story wise, but I'm sure the core mechanics are all there, and I haven't heard anything bad about it. It's just it's not available. There was Gates to Infinity, came out on 3DS,
which is arguably the worst,
but still, it's okay.
But as far as a Pokemon game, you can do a lot worse.
Oh yeah, you can do a lot worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gates to Infinity is fine.
Even the worst mystery dungeon games are still some degree of good.
It's like, it's a fine game. It's like, it has a pretty solid story, good Pokemon selection to it. It's just, some of the... It's weird because it's like the one where like you can only do one mission. As soon as you finish a mission, you have to leave the dungeon. You can't clear multiple missions.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So that's like,
and I think that was one of the major complaints people had is the fact that you couldn't just do that.
It makes it so hard to go back to. Like, whereas all the other ones you can just fucking have.
And that's such an arbitrary thing to put in place too.
Yeah, if you have like six missions for one dungeon, let me just do all 6 in one go. Don't make me re-go through the first, X amount of floors every single time to do it.
There was Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, which also came out on 3DS.
Which was way better than Gates to Infinity. And it had a cool...
Definitely.
It had a cool tree for, like, NPC, like, for Pokemon you meet. And, like, if you, like, made a relationship with one Pokemon, that would help you.
It would connect to the next one.
Yeah, to another one.
It was like a spider web of, like, relations.
Yeah, so that was cool. And it fixed some of the, like, stuff that Gates to Infinity did wrong.
So, yeah, it's good. And then, I mean, we already really talked about Rescue Team DX. It's the same game as the Rescue Team, just new presentation, storybook style, really nice. But otherwise, still solid gameplay. Next series is the Ranger series.
Yeah, I'm just doing this ahead of time because I knew you were going to say Ranger. Pass the whole thing.
I played the first game. I still got to get to the second and third games.
I think
the first game.
I think all 3 of us have played through the first game, and that's it.
I've heard that the other 2 are better. It's just that at this time, like, I was suffering a little bit of Pokemon burnout.
There were a lot of fucking Pokemon games in like the mid-late 2000s.
Yeah, one could say too.
I just didn't get around to it, but I liked the first game.
I also like the first
Ranger
game. I think
sucks.
It's fun. For those unaware, Landon holds Ranger in a very low opinion because he got dicked out of a Manaphy egg.
I remember Landon telling me about that story way back too. Like, there's no reason the game should have done that, and somehow it did.
What happened exactly?
It didn't. So he tried to get the Manaphy sent over to his game, but the Manaphy never got sent over somehow. So he could just never pick up this Manaphy that he was attempting to send to his game, and because the game recognized that it had sent a Manaphy out, it refused to send another one.
That sucks ass.
There's only one per cartridge. It's not one per save file. That's different.
It's one per cartridge.
One per cartridge. Which is fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, it admittedly is absolutely stupid.
So, you can never make me like any of the Ranger games. I don't care.
What about the Pokemon Rumble series?
Oh. Smash.
So we have Pokemon Rumble for WiiWare.
I've never played them.
I haven't played the first one.
I played them all.
Okay. All right. You can tell us about everything about the Rumble series.
There's like 1 or 2 that I haven't played, but they're all...
So there's Pokemon Rumble Blast, Rumble U, Rumble World, and Rumble Rush, which is... The Rumble Rush is mobile.
Yeah, Rumble Rush and one of the 3DS ones I haven't played. But I think there's 2 on the 3DS, right?
Yeah, there's Rumble Blast and Rumble World.
I have not
Rumble
played
World.
I have not played World.
Rumble World was originally only on the eShop, and they did do retail versions later, but they didn't sell a lot.
Yeah, no, I have the retail version of it. So I own it, but I never played it. But that's because the Rumble games are like super mediocre. There's just 2D beat 'em ups where you have
I was gonna say
toy Pokemon.
Like
or
they
3D,
look fun enough.
3D beat 'em ups, sorry.
They look fun enough, but they don't look like the kind of game series where I'd want to play the whole series. Like, I'd probably want to play one and then be like, okay, I got my fill.
Yes, no, that's all you need. You just pick any of them because they're all... I mean, pick...
This.
I guess pick Rumble World, or whatever. One of the 3DS ones, and you'll be fine, because the other two you can't play anymore, because they were digital only on the Wii and Wii U.
Oh, Rumble U never got a physical release?
No, it was digital only. Yeah, so you can only, at this point, you can only get the ones on the 3DS.
Rumble Blast or Rumble World, yeah.
Blast,
I have Rumble Blast.
Blast is
I haven't
fine.
played it yet, but I will.
Blast is fine. I mean, they're all fine.
Mediocre.
Yeah. But, they had, cute toy models for the Pokemon that you collected, and you could just run through, beat up Pokemon. You had, 2 moves per Pokemon, but you could have, 2 Pokemon that you could switch between in some of the games. So you could, still make some strategy with the Pokemon you had. A lot of them were also multiplayer. So, the Wii and Wii U ones, you could have 2 people running through the stages. And most of the stages were pretty short. So, you weren't, spending a ton of time just, playing one stage.
I do know one thing about the Rumble series randomly is apparently you can shiny hunt in that.
Yes. There is actually...
There are shiny Pokemon.
There are shiny Pokemon. You can get shiny versions of the toys if you want.
It's become a thing where, some people will shiny hunt in Pokemon Rumble.
Because they are that bored.
The next series to talk about is Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap and new Pokemon Snap.
Yay.
Smash. I like Pokemon Snap. New Pokemon Snap.
They're fun. Don't get me wrong.
I will say, I still need to play the new one.
The new one's so good.
I've owned it for a while, and I do still need to play it. The original is pretty good. I like it.
The original's pretty good. I don't think it holds up as well today, but I mean, we're talking about a 1999 photography rail shooting-ish game on the N64, so it's kind of hard to hold it to a 2022 standard, 2023, 2024. If you're listening to this in 2050, then we'll go for it, I guess. But
yeah, none of this, half of this doesn't even matter anymore. This is all dead media.
But yeah, no, new Pokemon Snap, though, is good. My only problem with new Snap is just the fact that there are some snags where, if you don't get the best pictures, you might not unlock the next route for the same area, so you might have to redo the exact same thing over. But I mean, you have to do the same in Snap, and in this one, there's way more different locales you can go to. There's way more Pokemon you can take pictures of. There's 200 plus Pokemon you take pictures of, and there's 10 or so different areas. So it's got a healthy amount of content, honestly.
Yeah, I'll say
what it is.
The content in new Pokemon Snap, the amount of areas and the amount of Pokemon is solid. I don't know what it is about the level up system, but it's weird to me.
Yeah.
It's I just get hung up on the level. You have to, they want you to run through it 4 or 5 times to level up, when it's just sure, I want to play the game, but I want to see more of the locales. I don't want to have to run through one area 4 times before I unlock the next one.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was mentioning, because in the original game, all you had to do was just do certain actions, and then you could unlock a different route to go down,
or just clear it, and you get
clear it once, and then there you go.
Yeah, you get a new area.
But in new Snap, like I mentioned, sometimes you don't level up off just one run, so you have to do it again, and eventually you'll get enough experience to unlock the next level to give you access to more areas. It's not as great structurally, but still.
Yeah, so
they give you some.
To explain Old Snap,
cool.
because we have a question in our Twitch chat. It's set in one island, but the locales across that one island are pretty, they're fairly varied.
Very.
You have, your beachfront, you have
You had a volcano.
Inside a volcano, around a volcano, you have, the factory-ish area with a cave. Then you have, the canyon area where you go in the water.
Yeah, the canyon.
The jungle, and then you have space.
Yeah.
With the Muse area. So, they're pretty, the set pieces in that one are pretty varied, too. There's just a little bit more of that in New Pokemon Snap.
Yeah. And in New Snap, it's more like they have like a whole little like map of islands and stuff that you can go to. So it's just a bigger scope.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like it. Next series is the Pokemon Puzzle League games. So there's Pokemon Puzzle League for N64 and Pokemon Puzzle Challenge on Game Boy Color.
I'm gonna win.
I'm gonna win.
Is that the button? Is that what the button makes?
Yeah. I'm gonna win.
I have not played either of the games.
I have played both of them.
I've played the original, and that's it.
So, Jack, did you want to talk about the original?
It's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun, and it has very quotable voice lines.
It's very hammy.
Give up?
Because they just literally use the actual dub voice for casters.
It's great.
Had them say funny lines.
I mean, I love it. They got like all of the voices from the dub, and it's so good.
So, yeah, no, I like it. I think it's kind of fun. It's the Tetris Attack gameplay, which if you haven't played is just... There's different shapes and different colored blocks, and you line up 3 at a time to make them go away. But you can only swap horizontally 2 next to each other, and they're constantly rising from the bottom. I like the second one more from a gameplay perspective, but it doesn't have the hammy dialogue because it's a Game Boy Color game. But like the second game, you actually go through the Johto region's gym leaders and stuff like that. So, and you can unlock different starters too. So like you have your character, right? You start with Chikorita, Cyndaquil, Totodile, but you can also unlock Pichu. I think you can unlock Marill. I think you unlock Blossom is another one you can get. Maybe Mareep or Wooper. I can't remember. There's like 1 or 2 others, but you can get like 8 or 9 different starters, and you can. I mean, it doesn't change anything from a gameplay standpoint. I mean, it kind of does. I think there's like the AI does get a little shaken up, like if you have like a type advantage, but I haven't played enough to really like delve deeper into it. But I mean, it's fun. You just go through and you just play it as like a puzzle game. The next series, speaking of puzzles, there's the Troze games.
I played a little of one of them, but it's just picture matching, like in the Troze.
I mean, there's Pokemon Shuffle, Pokemon Picross, Pokemon Cafe Mix. Like they really went hard on these Pokemon Faces puzzle games. Like I don't know. There's Hey You Pikachu.
Pass.
I've played Hey You Pikachu, but I don't like it. Hey You Pikachu's bad. I'm just gonna say it's a bad game. I've played it. It's bad.
Sucks ass.
It's funny too, because like people used to think that it was like the microphone attachment doesn't work. No, it works fine. Like if you program it to like work, if you have it the connector, like have it set up for like anything else with a microphone, it works fine. The problem's not the microphone. The problem is they program Pikachu specifically to not listen to you as much as possible, and it's dumb. It's very dumb. There's a bunch of like arcade games. I'm not going to mention them because definitely none of us have touched any of them. Next game on here though is Pokken Tournament.
I have played this.
I'm going to say Smash.
I'd say Smash. It's fun.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's a pretty solid game. I like the fighting mechanics. I like the roster.
Yeah, the roster's shitty and it plays bad, so...
Wow.
They gave Chandelure a really cute gremlin voice, and I love it.
They gave Chandelure so much personality.
Yeah, it's great. And that, I mean, it made me like one of my favorite Pokemon even more, so it gets a thumbs up for me for that alone.
Let me know when Venusaur is a playable Pokemon in it.
Or Shuckle.
They need to make a new one at this point, because I think at this point they really aren't supporting the Pokken Tournament DX, so Just give us a new one. There's Poke Park Wii and Poke Park 2.
Poke Park.
I played
Smash.
I played the first one.
I've never played them. I'm kidding.
I've watched my girlfriend play the second one. I think it's these are obviously made for kids, but I just think it's funny that like the second game's a lot more fleshed out. There's actual boss fights and they have like some better mechanics, but the first game is funny just because your main method of like getting Pokemon recruited is a lot of them like to play tag. So you race them and then you bash into them from behind and then Pikachu just dabs after, and like that's it. That's all that I care about with Poke Park Wii is that Pikachu just dabs. That's it.
Say a good game.
There's a bunch of mobile apps, but these aren't really games. Most of these, like, it's just like storage stuff and like data information software, like Pokédex 3D.
Pokédex 3D Smash.
Pokemon Dream Radar.
Yeah, Smash.
I don't like this game.
Yeah.
Cloud's favorite.
No, I hate it, especially because I had to do it twice just to get a fucking Landorus for my living dex.
All I care about is I was able to get a Shuckle for my Black 2 playthrough with the whatever ability, the hidden ability.
To be fair, it is the only way in Gen 5 to reliably get certain Pokemon in certain ways, because they used to have that Pokemon Dream World that you had alluded to earlier where you would play online and you get access to these extra things. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. So the only other thing is that like this was how you got certain Pokemon's hidden abilities, because they had introduced hidden abilities that generation, and it was really hard to get them at the time until like Generation 6 just made it generally easier to do. Well, Pokemon Dream Radar was how you got the hidden abilities for some of these Pokemon. So, and they did give you access to some legendaries.
Yeah, and I can
Pokemon
import it directly to Pack 2 and have a Shuckle as essentially one of my starter Pokemon.
Right. Yeah, because you just do the Pokemon Link and that just gives you the Pokemon in your PC box, and you just, there you go.
It was like level 5, and I was like, oh, perfect, I have a Shuckle.
And I think the level scales with your progress in Black 2, White 2 specifically, too. Because you can get them as high as, like, the 40s and 50s. So it really depended on how far in you were, but they basically made it so you could just use the Pokemon right away. There was the Pokemon Bank software, which... that's just the storage software, and unfortunately, you can't get it anymore. If you don't have it, you can't get it.
Sucks.
Pokemon Go.
Fucking pass.
I mean, I've played it off and on. It's fine as a time waster. It was really cool as a social experiment, and like for a month, we had world peace. We had achieved world peace for a month.
It was like a whole summer, honestly.
Like we will never get that back ever again.
The summer of 2016 was an extremely weird time. Pokemon Go, like I tried to get into it, but every time I played it, it just made me wish I was playing an actual Pokemon game instead. Like, I don't really care for the catching mechanics and like, ooh, catching Pokemon in real life. Like, it never really appealed to me. Like, real life is boring. I'd rather just like see the world in the Pokemon game. But also it drains your phone battery like a motherfucker when you're playing it.
And if you don't have a phone with a good battery, it's even worse.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
So I think it's okay for what it is. I mean, it's
like,
a mobile game. You can't like fault it for too much. It's a mobile game. Like the standards are lower. But it's also just like Jack said, it does just make me want to play actual Pokemon games most of the time.
I will say, I am glad that it exists, because I think it's cool that like the world was just collectively really into Pokemon for a while.
And I think this was proof that like there's so many more people out there that like Pokemon. They just don't always have the means to actually like tangibly interact with it, because not everybody is going to get every single system that Pokemon games are on. The fact that they had something that was on their phone just showed just how many people were interested in Pokemon. I think that the thing that sucks is that Pokemon Go took a really long time for it to actually have good features, because when it first came out that whole summer, the only thing carrying it was the social aspect of it, like getting together with people because it was a new craze. But there was like nothing to do. You took over gyms and you caught Pokemon, and that was it. There was like nothing.
And it was only Gen 1 Pokemon for a while.
For a long time. So like now you have Pokemon all the way up to like the 7th generation with Pokemon. I think they have Galarian forms of Gen 1 Pokemon as well, but they don't have Gen 8 Pokemon in there yet. So like you have everything from the DS game, the 3DS games back. So you have tons of Pokemon you can get, and there's actually different things you can do now that like they have like following specific Pokemon that you can like play with and like do other things. It's okay. Pokemon Duel was a mobile app that it was like a board game, I guess. I don't know. I didn't play it. I don't know what Pokemon Duel is.
You made that up.
Yeah, that's fake.
There's Pokemon Masters EX, which...
Pokemon Master Sex.
I remember when they originally updated it to Pokemon Masters EX and people were freaking out because a hashtag on Twitter, it looked like it just said Pokemon Master Sex.
Pokemon Master Sex. Exactly.
So everybody was like, wait, what the hell's going on here?
But Al plays that game.
I haven't played...
I don't.
I haven't played a lot. I played like 10 minutes of it. It looks fun. But it also like has gacha elements, and I don't like gacha elements.
Unfortunately, it's not Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, so there's no room for it on my phone.
It can't. I was gonna say it can't take your love away from the one gacha game that you allow on your phone. Yeah. But no, Pokemon Masters, like, I think it's definitely fine for what it is. I think if you're into that sort of game, it's definitely really good. I mean, it has voice acting. They actually have voice acting for these characters in this game, so that's pretty cool. And there's tons and tons of characters. Like, they just threw everybody in that game. Like, they started adding characters from Pokemon Legends Arceus, even though they're supposed to be like 200 years in the past. Like, they said, fuck it, here's Adaman anyway. Like, okay. But, there's Pokemon Home is just a storage app. Pokemon Smile came out a couple years ago.
You were just making stuff up.
I literally... Okay, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was like watching, like, the other day I was just watching like random old Donkey videos, and like it was E3, I forget what year it was even revealed. It was like 2018 or 2019 maybe, and it was like, or what year did Pokemon Smile come out?
2020.
It was probably 2019 then. And I just remember seeing him like talk about it for like just making a joke about it for like 2 seconds. I'm like, I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, no.
So
Pokemon Smile exists. It's like supposed to motivate you to brush your teeth. Obviously, it's geared towards like little children. They did finally come out with very recently, earlier this year, as of the time of this podcast, Pokemon Sleep. You catch Pokemon by putting the app on and going to sleep.
The app where you have to have your phone on the entire time.
On and charging, because it's going to die if you don't charge it. And these are things that fire departments literally say not to do.
Yeah, that's, no.
I'm waiting for the headlines where someone's house is going to catch fire and burn down because of Pokemon Sleep. I don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen.
I want it to happen.
Pokemon's always in the news for the most ridiculous, crazy shit happening, so that's going to happen. And then there was just like a bunch of random shit on PC that I don't care about. Did any of you guys play any of the Pico games? The Sega Pico?
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. No, and then there's also some various random spin-offs like Pokemon Dash.
Pass.
The only thing that I ever think about when I think of Pokemon Dash is the Nintendo Power ad with the shoelace finger.
So,
I bring this up every time we talk about Pokemon Dash, but it's the only notable thing about the entire game.
This one game, I haven't been able to play it, and I hate that I haven't been able to play it. Pokemon Conquest.
That's a good game, though.
I've heard it's so good, and I haven't played it, and I hate myself sometimes for it.
It's a really watered-down version of the, whatever, the Three Kingdoms games, whatever they're actually called.
Yeah. Dynasty Warriors?
No, not
Dynasty. I mean, they're not plot-wise. Which one's the strategy RPG series? Nobunaga's Ambition is what it came from.
But yeah, that's what I'm referring to, is the Nobunaga's Ambition games. Like, it's really watered down because it's supposed to be an entry for literal babies, but
your Pokemon can only use one move.
Yeah, but it's still like a really good version of those games. So
I've heard there's still a layer of strategy. Like, there's certain pathways that might open up or close on alternating turns. You have to like route your characters a certain way, and there's like it seems pretty promising. I definitely want to play it.
A baby with a bachelor's degree is the only way you can actually play it. Yeah. Someone in our Twitch chat asked about Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Those are
main series games.
Yeah, those are main series games, even though they use Pokemon Go mechanics. Therefore, we already technically talked about them by not talking about them.
Yes. We talked about the main we talked about the main series in like its own whole half earlier, so
we talked about them exactly as much as they deserve to be talked about,
not enough.
Which is not at
let's
all.
Let's dedicate a whole episode.
You know what's crazy is there's actually little gremlins running around on Twitter that are like, Pokemon Let's Go is the best version of Kanto, and I'm like, you can't be seriously telling yourself this.
I don't agree with that, but I think I had more fun. I'll say this. I did have more fun with that than I was having with a lot of the other core games at the time.
It's a fun game,
but
it's
a fun game because it's Kanto again.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Kanto is going to be fun, but like, I just don't care for the catching mechanics.
And it sucks because, like, they don't fix any of the issues Kanto has, and because of the catching mechanics, it actually exacerbates that issue where, yes, there's 150 Pokemon, and that is quite a bit, but the AI trainers just use the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
So you're catching Pokemon without being able to interact with them in a more fun way with the regular gameplay. And then you also have to fight the same Pokemon 5 million times.
I literally never finished Pokemon Let's Go Eevee because I just got a team after like probably 4, maybe 5 gyms that was just like, it was just mowing down everything. Like I was bored.
I will say this, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu are nice for including the Alolan Kanto Pokemon that existed at the time, because that does add some extra variety. Like, it's nice to be able to like go through the game with like a Alolan Muck or a Alolan Golem or a Alolan Exeggutor, which are unique type combinations for that series of Pokemon at the time. So
yeah,
I mean, it does some things right.
But like, I just got the team of 6 that I wanted, and I never had any like incentive to catch more because I hated the catching mechanics. And yeah, I just got bored.
Next side series game, there's Pokemon Art Academy.
Pass.
I'm like typing. There's Detective Pikachu,
Pass.
which is getting a follow-up. There is Landon, please tell me. I know you love Dokkan Battle, but you had to have at least tried Magikarp Jump.
I actually have not.
Really?
But it's
I
Magikarp!
have to download something else to my phone. I don't have space for that.
But it's Magikarp!
Space for it.
Damn.
don't have...
Only space for Dokkan Battle.
Not even Magikarp, John.
Listen, I'm at the point where I have to probably uninstall
Delete
Discord.
apps just to make more
Yeah,
room.
I need to uninstall Discord, which the way you shit faces talk on it, I don't even want to be on there anymore.
Oh, God. And then finally, there's Pokemon Quest and Pokemon Unite, which are new, more recent games that they came out with as well.
We're done. I can go to
I
bed.
don't play either one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in closing, Pokemon has a lot of games, both main series and spin-offs. We've talked about which ones we like, which ones we aren't too keen on. We've talked about why we like the main series, and even though we didn't go like totally in depth on like specific games, like I think you guys got a general idea of what we like and why we like it. Like, so I mean, we're not going to go too much further. If we want to talk more about Pokemon, we're going to talk about specific like sets of games, and they'll have their own podcasts eventually. We're not going to do that anytime soon. We just kind of wanted this as an opener to just kind of get you, you know, acquainted. There's a lot to talk about, but we've done enough talking. Before we go off for the night, though, let's just catch up on how everybody's doing. What have we been up to recently?
Jack.
Me.
Jack.
I don't
You
know.
start.
I know he's going to say the same thing he always says.
You start Starter Boy.
I went to the zoo the other
That's
day.
cute.
Oh, that's different. That's also really cool. I thought you were going to be
Yeah.
like, I've been busy.
He was busy
was
at the zoo.
The zoo was busy.
What was your favorite animal you saw there?
Probably the zebra shark, honestly. They have a shark
That sounds
tank.
cool.
We have a good zoo. Yeah, no, I had a good time there. Been to a couple of shows lately, but mostly just been trying to take it easy because my legs have been hurting lately just from standing up so goddamn much at work, and I'm like, man, I need to just take a break for a couple weeks and it sucks when I, you know, have to come home and do shit like I have to mow my lawn. I mowed my lawn today. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty much nothing else new since last time, though. I'm still watching Breaking Bad with my girlfriend, and that's about it.
Yeah, I've been mostly up to the same old. Like, I've been playing more Dragon Ball games in preparation for our upcoming Dragon Ball game podcast, as per usual. I recently reached the beginning of the Android saga in Dragon Ball Z Kai, watching through that, and I watched Trunks absolutely demolish Frieza and King Cold, so that was cool. As of tomorrow, from when we've recorded and like live streamed this, I am planning on going to see the Barbie movie. I will tell you guys how I felt about it on our next podcast, as long as I remember to talk about it. Because I've been pretty honestly interested in watching the Barbie movie. Though I don't really think I've been doing much else new. Mostly just been kind of doing the same old. So, yeah. Oh, my girlfriend got a filter for our faucet for our sink, so now we actually can like have nice filtered water. So that's pretty
nice.
Cool.
That's hype, actually.
She actually just installed it like the other day, so it's pretty cool.
That's hype.
Oh yeah.
Clean water.
Oh yeah. So yeah, no, pretty much the same old here.
What are you landed?
Did I talk about seeing Across the Spider-Verse on podcast?
No.
I think we talked about it in a stream.
Yeah.
Might have.
But yeah, it was like, I don't know how long ago it was. It was a little bit ago. Because I think last episode, which is the one I was just editing, we recorded right when I got back from Colorado. So I've seen Across the Spider-Verse since then. Really good. Everyone that's hyping it up on the internet needs to calm down a little bit, but it's still a good movie. What? You think it's
I
a real
don't know.
bad movie?
I didn't say that.
You think it's a really, really bad movie?
I definitely didn't say that.
Oh, okay. You like it?
I like it.
Uh-oh. You need to calm down a little bit.
I like how he just said it reasonably, just, plain, just, I like it, and then Landon's like, you need to calm down.
Sir?
Relax.
Sir!
Please.
Sir, calm down.
I can't handle your opinion right now. Across the Spider-Verse is a fucking fantastic movie. Do I need to calm down now?
Calm, please? Okay, thank you. Do you need a NyQuil?
Please.
Put you to sleep.
A NyQuil? Wow.
No, probably the most impressive thing I did was I beat a video game for once in my life this year.
Did you beat Trails from Zero?
I beat Trails from Zero
yeah,
the
that's
other
right.
day.
Yeah.
So I did my first playthrough of what's probably going to be like 3. I'm going to do another playthrough where I get the platinum for the PS4 version. And then I'll do a... What?
No, you finish up and then I'll mention something. There has been one other thing I've done that I have not talked about on podcasts like the last couple weeks, and for some reason I keep forgetting, but I'll say it after.
So yeah, I beat my first playthrough. I'll probably do another playthrough for a stream. I don't know if I'm going to do it on PS4 or Switch. Probably Switch, because the Switch version is the better. Well, Switch and PC are the better versions, but it's the issue is if I play it on Switch, the game has New Game Plus content that it's exclusive to that. But in this game, so Cold Steel 2 also has a whole dungeon and canon story that is important that is only exclusive to a New Game Plus run, which is silly. It's one of the things I don't like about Cold Steel 2, even though it's like one of my favorite Trails games. This one is just like a side dungeon. I don't know how big the story stuff is in it, but besides the point, Trails from Zero, really good game. Highly recommend it. Definitely will play through Sky the third. You get to see more Father Kevin, and then we'll probably jump into From Zero at some point. That said, I started Pikmin 4.
Hell yeah.
It's really good.
How is it?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Good.
You need to calm down,
Yeah,
sir.
you need to calm down.
It's all right.
Okay, that's better.
Okay. I will say it looks really like the visuals on it. I know people have been saying it's good looking. It's good looking, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to think of what else. Cheese Whiz decided he wanted to destroy some of my video games, specifically the cases.
Which cases got compromised?
Luckily, the worst victim was Darksiders 2 for the Wii U.
Rip.
Not a huge loss.
There was a couple other Wii U games that got the claw on the spine. One of which was Xenoblade Chronicles X. So
No.
It was all Wii U games because the box was on the ground. I didn't have the normal it and PS3 games were in it from the move. I have a specific case that I put most of my games in, but I have so many games now, especially with the Switch. I didn't have enough room anymore. But I just got some more because of him. So I'll replace all the cases and everything at some point. I might have to order a bunch off of eBay, just blank cases. But yeah, so he's in timeout.
One thing that I think I had already played it on for our last podcast, but I didn't actually mention it because top 90s games, we spent so long talking about it, so I had forgotten to talk about it. But I did start playing the game Cassette Beasts on Steam, which is very similar to Pokemon structurally, although it takes a a lot of different liberties. The mechanics aren't one-to-one. They have unique aspects amongst them, and the story is much more like actual traditional RPG story with a lot of thoughtful twists involved rather than, the typical Pokemon story, which is like no story at all. But I will say, from what I've played so far, I really like it. I think that the combat system element, when it comes up with like elemental interactions, can be a little complicated, and like it's a little obtuse at first. Like, you could maybe figure out that like fire and plastic have an interaction in some way, but you probably wouldn't realize that until it actually ends up happening in a battle. But other than that, I really like the game. Like, it's really fun. The music's good. Like, if you're one of those people that likes monster collecting, monster battler type games, like, this is probably one of the better games that's come out all year, and it's a really good game for its genre. Like, I think that people should not sleep on this game. It's $20, so like, pick it up, try it out. Fun game.
All right.
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
We talked quite a lot. Next podcast episode, we haven't decided exactly what it's going to be yet, but 2 weeks from now, you'll be able to get it on all your favorite streaming platforms. Till next time, though, have a good one. We're going. I have sushi I want to go eat, so bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Gaming Stooges Talks podcast. If you enjoyed us, consider subscribing to our podcast RSS feed, or follow us on youtube.com/GamingStooges and twitch.tv/GamingStooges for more gaming content. If you'd like to chat with us, join our Discord. The link can be found in the episode description. We also want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Your continued support means a lot to us. Not already one? Please take a look at what we have to offer anyone who becomes a patron at patreon.com/GamingStooges. See you next time!